Peace, and welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. I'm so excited for tonight's guest, and I know you are too. There's so many of you right now waiting for this brother to come on. Tonight's guest is none other than Aseer, the Duke of Tears. Let me give you a little bit of background on him. Aseer is a multimedia artist, a natural historian,
That's me.
published author, writer with a PhD in jurisprudence. He's an astrologer. He was born Prince Charles E.L. Rogers E.L. Aseer started doing art at the age of 4, and he began taking art classes at the Brooklyn Museum at the age of 7. Around the age of 10, he began print modeling, and at that same year, he drew his first full comic book. He attended art and design high school, where he studied many techniques, but did not graduate. Instead, he got his GED and went into business for himself, starting Moorally Correct Mediums, which was a subsidiary of his father's publicity company called Rogers Artist Media. He worked on logos and bios for many groups like Eric B. and Rakim, Dougie Fresh, Dead Prez, and a myriad of other musicians. Aseer worked as a contributing writer for The Source magazine, where he wrote articles under the name D.E.S.T.I.N.Y. One of his most famous articles was called Booster Shots, which achieved critical acclaim. After gaining knowledge of self between 1997 and 1998, he traveled abroad, exhibiting his artwork at galleries while studying jurisprudence. After 5 years, he pursued a PhD in jurisprudence from an online correspondence university in London. Upon returning, Aseer and Celina married and drove across the entire country on their honeymoon. After returning to Brooklyn, he went to work as an after-school teacher for New York State Board of Education, the M.A.P program, and Catholic Charities. Aseer taught more science and history at community centers at various colleges such as LIU and Prince George County Community College. He is a regular speaker at high schools in New York and Miami. Aseer became a member of the M.A.P and was appointed chief. He began an intense study of history and had a major breakthrough in 1999. In 2003, he was anointed the Duke of Tears by Ashanti Princess Empress and King. Aseer then embarked on the groundbreaking podcast called Superhero Radio on Blog Talk, which lasted for 7 years. And there's so much more that I could say about this brother, but I just want to bring you on because
thank you,
I ran out of music. Welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. And there are so many people who have been looking forward to your appearance. They have been asking me, they have been putting it in the comment section. Please, can you get Aseer? And I realized it's the Duke of Tears and not the Duke of Tears. But I said, so we went one better. Well, when I was able to make contact with you, which I appreciate you getting back to me as quickly as you did, even though I didn't read the email for 2 weeks.
Okay.
But when we finally made contact and talked about it, not one, not two, but 3 times, we're going to do this Super Tuesday with yourself, the Empress, and then the 2 of you together. I am so excited about you being here.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me. Peace to all the human families of the planet Earth. Thank you again, sister, for setting up a great platform. People have been telling me about it for years. And again, you as elder in our community, I definitely, if nobody told you, I'm telling you, thank you for investing time and coming into knowledge of yourself to see what we all need as a multi-generational people need to be able to commune and hopefully get up out of the quagmire we find ourselves in, because there's a big disconnection between what they call the elders, or what the streets would say, the old heads, and the young folk. And that, again, is a construct created by the present system that we in to keep us all divided. So again, I just want to say thank you for seeing the value in this type of information and just not dissuading it as if it's some, niche information that is irrelevant.
Well, my background, just briefly, I was a pastor. I was in ministry, I guess, for about 25 years. And the last 10 of those years, I pastored. I was a pastor. I was a consecrated apostle, if they called me. And one day, just in the middle of sitting in a prayer breakfast, I had an awakening. I had an out-of-body experience that basically led me to where I am today. Took me out of, one Sunday I'm preaching and doing what I've been doing for, at that point about 25 years. And the next Sunday I stand before the people, and what's coming out of my mouth is coming from somewhere else. Definitely. You always want to say that you were speaking as an oracle, but this was really somewhere else. And as a result of that, everybody that loved me the week before started at me and said I was crazy. Oh, they hated. They left me. And when they left, I had the ears to hear the new assignment, which was to reawaken minds. And as a result of that, House of Reawakening Minds came into fruition in early 2011. And I subsequently met a sister by the name of rest her soul, Sister Zodiac E.L, who many people see her video. Yes, she came and she said, "I'm here to help you." And she was a part of the transition, and she was different in her approach to life. But she came on purpose, for purpose. She introduced me to Grand Sheik, Taj Tariq Bey, took me to Philadelphia, said, "I want you to meet someone." He and I met, and that was in September 2011. The rest is history, our story. And he's been, connected to House of Reawakening Minds ever since. But for me, the journey, the thing of it is, and we were talking before we went live, just that I am an elder, and a lot of people, unless I say so, don't think so, because apparently, I guess I don't look like the typical senior 65-year-old senior citizen, and it has.
Is that you don't look the part, but then also, when you have a certain when you come into a real what Catholic people refer to as an epiphany, or real self, or what alcoholics would call a moment of clarity, it really hits you in a manner in which now you're ready to move into the next octave of your life, that a lot of people don't activate on that. A lot of people just kind of just be like, well, that's not real. That's just what I think. And then they stay along the path they on, and that leads to their own destruction. But when you take the so-called leap of faith and say, well, I don't really know what this is, but I know what I'm doing now is not it. So when you actually throw your hands up into the universe and be like, well, look, this is what I want, you come into, it's almost like you're reborn. You come into the knowledge, you come into the self, the true self that you're aspiring to get to, which is the higher self. You come into it from a level of innocence, almost like a baby. You know what I mean? Almost like a child. Like when I find knowledge of self, when I finally realized, like, oh, all of this stuff that they done told me is a lie. So that means the truth is imminent. You know what I'm saying? Like it can't, like, once I realized, it was like, okay, all of this is lies. I just couldn't wait to get the truth. So when the truth started coming, you go into the phase that everybody go through, which is you get so overwhelmed, you're happy, you got all this energy, and then you try to put your people on, and then that's when you start getting depressed, because that's when you start seeing they are not with it. They think you're crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, they not gonna stop eating pork. They're gonna do what they've been doing, and this is what you on. And then you go through the phase of now anger. You know what I'm saying? Now, then you go through a phase, denial. Because you're like, they can't think that I'm like this. They can't think that this is not real. The denial. Then you start going through anger, because now they start talking about you. They start, you know what I'm saying? Making up stories. Oh, he crazy. He wearing, towels on his head, or she with them Muslims, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. And then you go through the phase of total apathy, because then you be like, you know what? Screw these people. I don't need none of these people, right? Then you go through that. But that phase brings you to a slow phase of limited isolationism, because now you gotta protect what you reading, because you know and feel that there's other people around you. That's your family that was cool with you. But now, just because you reading Golden Age or the more, they looking at you like you reading satanic verses. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you become this enemy over. Hasn't done anything to anybody. Only thing you've done is strive to better yourself. But you're bettering yourself with a certain aspect of information that our people have been made to fear. You know what I'm saying? So they could deal, so like they could deal with, okay, so if you're walking down the street and you see a Muslim, you know how to deal with that. Or you feel you know how to deal with that. You see a Christian preacher, you know how to deal with that. You see a Catholic priest, you know what's up with that. You see a Hindu, a Sikh, right, with a turban on. Okay, that's a Sikh, right? You see a Moorish American walk down the street with a fez or a turban on, they don't know what to do with that. You understand? Because we are taking ourselves out of the archetypical framework that they've locked us into for the past 243 years. And it starts with the acceptance of yourself, accepting that you don't know it all, accepting that you've been lied to, accepting that the people that you came up with that was teaching you about virtue and this and that is the same people not living that. And now that you striving to live that, they looking at you like something's wrong with you. So what that means is they was never on that. They just needed you to believe they was on that because that's what they needed to perceive to be looked at as authority. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And all of that is a lie. That's all white supremacy. That's all white supremacy right there, just in your little household. And you don't even realize it. Because who gave you those norms? Who told you that this school is the only way you could be successful? Who told you that if you wear a fez or a turban or you correct your name, then you're not going to be able to get a good job or this, or that? Who told you that? The same people that told you back in the days that you couldn't go trick-or-treating or whatever because they was putting razor blades in the apples and stuff. As if children was getting apples at Halloween in the first place. What kid, let me tell you, if you go to somebody's house and they put an apple in that, when everybody likes their candy, you know what's going to happen to the apple? Them kids are going to throw it out to keep the candy. So that shows you that that was a lie because that never happened. And again, I'm not an advocate of Halloween. I'm just saying how they use stories that have no basis in reality to create this idea that you shouldn't be, black people shouldn't participate in that. Like when they were saying that Michael Jordan, the basketball player, is one of the main contributors to private prisons. Right? Did you ever hear that? Have you heard that?
I didn't hear that. No.
Okay, well, that was a story back in the days that they was coming out with Michael Jordan. He was a private prison patron, right? And he was getting money off of that. Now, this is how the whites lie. So that was true, right? The only thing is, it wasn't Michael Jordan, the basketball player. It's a white man named Michael Jordan. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But story, they just put Michael Jordan picture in it. You see what I'm saying? And then now everybody hating on Jordan because he supporting prisons, and that's not even happened. So if they can make something like that, right, be the truth to people, where people sending Michael Jordan death threats and hate mail and all this type of stuff, if they could do it with that, imagine what they're doing with history. Imagine what they're doing with law. Imagine what they're doing with science. And this is what we have to understand. The devil don't tell you a little lie, a little white lie. The devil tell you a complete lie, right? And then sprinkle some truth around it. Or he'll give you a lie sandwich. 2 lies on the top, truth in the middle. Or 2 lies on the either side, and then the truth in the middle. And then you got to eat and decide what it is. So when the elders used to tell us you got to eat the meat and spit out the bones, this is what they're talking about. But see, they done made us think our elders is all crazy. You see what I'm saying? So there's nobody to talk to these kids. They don't want to hear that, because every time that we were seen, like there was an old rap line from Rakim where he was like, "The old lady snitch, but F it," right? And it brings up a thought that I had about people who are participating in certain things and people who aren't. And so in the community, you have people who would feel like if they see something negative in the community, they can't say something because that would be like snitching, right? Mm-hmm. But a civilian, like in the hood, I was raised by the drug dealers I knew, right? When I'm going to school, I'm trying to stay out. They like, nah, nigga, you going to school. You know what I'm saying? But every so often they give you game. And what I gleaned from it was that you don't talk about stuff like you not a snitch if you wasn't involved. You know what I'm saying? So like the old lady who sees the two dudes busting at each other and then talk to the police, that's not snitching. You understand? She's a civilian. She's not involved in the conflict. You only a snitch if you involved in the conflict. You know what I'm saying?
I get it. So, yeah, so you're partaking in it, and then when they got you up in the corner.
Right. And now you're trying to get out of it. No, that's different. That's the difference between a Tekashi 6ix9ine, right? And a person who has
how about Snoop Dogg and Suge Knight?
Perfect example. That's what I'm saying. Like perfect example. They both work for the man. They both snitches for Iveen. You understand what I'm saying? Because the music industry at that time was run by the gay mafia. So that's David Katz, that's David Geffen, Jimmy Iovine, Steve Katz, Leo Cohen, Clive Davis, what's the other Jew? Tommy Mottola. That's the gay mafia. You know what I'm saying? These people, real talk, these the ones that employ and basically run their little thing like the mob. These are the guys that's getting the rappers to compromise themselves, put on dresses, go to the sex ritual. These are the guys that created that archetype of, in order to be a good rapper, you gotta you gotta have a lot of sex with females. You know what I'm saying? You gotta sling drugs. You gotta go to jail. You know what I'm saying? Like that whole Tupac archetype. You gotta go to jail, bust guns, smoke weed, drink liquor. That's what it means. So that archetype, as it was created, was then made the archetype for rappers from that point on. And if you wasn't in that archetype, then you wasn't gonna sell no records. So you have people, so you hear the term gay for pay. This is where that came up. And so you had a whole generation, but this ain't just start with hip hop. This was going on back from the beginning of the recording industry. You know what I'm saying? It's always been run like that. So the thing is, you can't hate the player, you got to hate the game. Right. But the game is run by homicidal maniacs, homicidal, satanic, pedophilic maniacs. And if you engage yourself with these people, the only way to keep them from killing you, at least that's what they tell or they make you think, is to join up with them. See what I'm saying? So you got to join one of the little groups that they created, further compromise yourself. So this way you can never be an asset to your people. Because the minute you try to come out and say anything real, they're going to come out with the tape, or you with the tranny, or you with the at the gay party, or you doing whatever it is that you're doing, or you smoking crack, or whatever they got you on.
Right.
You know what I mean? Imagine.
When they're ready to do you in, then you commit suicide, or you have some. I mean, and I can think back, in my generation, there were several artists. Now that we look back in my generation, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, Otis Redding, Arcades. Well, and more recently, we got Michael Jackson. But if you just look at
what they're averting them.
Right. So I mean, I don't know if they did something to Gerald too, but
Yeah, they did. They killed him in the jail cell.
okay. The brother.
I'm sorry, the brother. Yeah.
Gerald's brother, yeah, because it's just so many things. And then they, some say that they have. I think Grant Sheik said the other day on Friday's show, he said they have insurance policies on many of them, and they're worth more dead than they are alive.
The insurance policy comes through an agency called AIG. AIG is a subsidiary or a low-key subsidiary to Lloyd's Bank of London, but all of these banks fall under Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank is the bank that is the bank that every other bank wants, but nobody can get, because Deutsche Bank is the bank that was there around the time of the Intersystemist. This is history now.
What is the Intersystemist? You have to explain.
We in the United States are under Roman law. Well, not us, not Moors, but anybody else that's not Moorish are under Roman law. Roman law is a draconian form of law. Therefore, it is a law based on extreme circumstance. So there is no light sentence in Rome. You know what I'm saying? You have a distraction, then it depends on whoever's arresting you, how they're going to deal with you. That's why the police is out here doing what they're doing to people like that. Those are called summary executions. But the police are getting past this through the municipalities, because the municipalities are invoking an archaic right called qualified immunity that does not exist or has any legal precedent in any legal form. Matter of fact, police are not even in any of the state charters for any of the states in the United States. The only thing that's in a state charter is sheriffs and deputy sheriffs.
So they're illegal.
They're illegal. They are a part of the municipality. That's why their jurisdiction ends at a certain place. See what I'm saying? The sheriff has jurisdiction throughout the whole state if you want.
We have a situation here where I live, where we have a mall not far from where I live, like a little small strip mall. Mm-hmm. One half of the strip mall is handled by the city police, but if you go over like one store over in the same strip mall, the county has to come in.
That's right. That's how it was. Yeah, that's the same thing. That's the same thing happening in the LG. Anybody that grew up in BK, big up BK, Brooklyn all day. And there's this place called Lafayette Gardens called LG Projects, right? That's off of Willoughby, right? Right off of where the Blickies be at now. Right across the street is the precinct, right? The precinct that you see there, jurisdiction starts from there on. The precinct, meaning that the precinct that is across the street from the projects technically is not in the jurisdiction of that precinct, and is literally right across the street.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because
so see those artificial lines that they've drawn. Yes. It's just or there's a state where there's two states and one state is across the street from the other. They show the commercial. So yeah, it lets you know how fictional and artificial this is. But our concept of reality has been framed by the colonizers. And so everything that we have come to believe to be true, we're now learning in this age of enlightenment and in this age of I know, as opposed to this age of I believe. Yes. We're coming to see the first of all, some of it, and how ridiculous it is that we believed it in the first place. Yeah,
but when they browbeat you with false information for 243 years and then pay off about 10% of your population to go along with the lie, and then create schools and movies and books and oral histories and stuff that never even happened. You tell a lie enough, what happens? It's true.
It becomes the truth.
It's the truth, because you done killed everybody that know the difference. You know what I'm saying? And then two, anybody now that's trying to bring you the real truth on it, you're going to see as a lie, because they not sanctioned by the people who trained you to believe it. Black people, so-called black people, whatever they want to call themselves, if they would just accept the fact that they are lost, you understand? If they would just accept the fact that they are lost and that they have equally sinned against each other, equally, meaning that the man did just as much as the woman, and the woman did just as much as the man to screw us up. If we could both take that type of responsibility for one another, we could get the nation together like that. But the problem is our people function and are suffering from a disease. And some people would say it's ignorance. Some people would say it's apathy. Some people would say it's this or that. Me personally, I think it's hubris. For those people that don't know what hubris is false pride. It's believing in something so much that has no substance that you are willing to almost die just to spite the truth that somebody would tell you about it. That's how our people are right now. So how many times, and the listeners can attest to this, how many times you getting your stuff together, and while you getting your stuff together, your friend, your family, your mother, your father, whoever it is, tell you what? Oh, you ain't gonna do that. That ain't gonna happen. Oh, you going that route? That ain't gonna happen for you. Blah, blah, blah. No, that's not true. You bugging. You crazy. Ain't nobody gonna listen to you. Don't listen to him. He don't know what he talking about. You wasn't saying that last year. Yeah, but you ate pork when you was a baby. Yeah, because I ain't had no choice, because you forced this shit on me.
That's right.
But think about it. What does that sound like? What does that type of dialogue remind you of? That's the type of dialogue you hear when a sister come and say that she was raped. Oh, you was raped? Well, what did you do to put yourself in that situation? How did you know him? Well, why did you wear that? How short was your skirt? What did you look? You see what I'm saying? It's the same accusatory, false hubris, because really you don't want to deal with it. So you want to put it on the victim, because in order for you to deal with it means you'd have to go against the perpetrator. And most people know that the perpetrators in these types of crimes is backed by the white man, right?
Mm-hmm.
White man being the system of so-called what they refer to as white supremacy, which I refer to as white inferiority, right? White proxy inferiority. And so you then now have to contend with your own people trying to box you out of getting justice for something that happened to you. So it's the same thing when the same dialogue when the police run up on you. Where you going? Let me see your ID. What you doing? Well, yeah. Well, that's not what I said. That's not how you look like. That's not the description. That's not what my thing says. You see what I'm saying? Same vibration. Hubris. Why? Because all pigs is scared to death of Asiatic people. And they only become pigs to kill Asiatic people. You do not become a cop to protect people. It's not true. Because if you wanted to protect people, you could create a neighborhood watch, community watch, and do that without that. Because according to if you read the charter for any municipality, any citizen has the right to do that. Any citizen has the right to arrest the police if you see them committing a crime. You understand? That's the law. But are people doing that? No, they sitting there with their phones filming the police murder people. So you know what that make you? That make you an accessory after the fact. According to the law, they could arrest you too, because you participated in a crime that actually is part of RICO. Because we just also found out that all of the that the NASDAQ goes up every time a black man gets killed, because that shows the investors that exist in the municipalities that the city is doing what it needs to do to keep those of the so-called indigent population in that. So it gives them more security, so they start to buy more and they lend more to the municipality. And then how do they process the bonds of the people getting killed? Because every state has a Duns and Bradstreet number connected to it that actually has an account number. But the reason why nobody goes to jail is because every state is incorporated into another state. So if you're going to try to get the bond of the pig that shot this dude in Maryland, then you got to check the bond in Nevada, because that's where Maryland charters at. If you want to get the pig that shot this one in New York, you got to go to New Jersey to get the bond. See what I'm saying? They flip it. Everything is flipped. Nobody is where they're at, because none of these places actually exist. They are constructs of the mind. They are creatures of law. And now that we have seen that the law does not protect anyone, that means that there is no law. So in a lawless society, the people have to protect themselves. You understand? The government that we in right now, if you haven't noticed, it's not a government. They're just a bunch of niggas that's in position trying to figure out who gonna get it. And then once, if we decide to go with this guy, then it's gonna be like this. So if we decide to go with Trump, then it's gonna be like this. If we decide to go with Biden, it's gonna be like this. If we decide to go to Fauci, it's gonna be like this. You see what I'm saying? But nothing is concrete. However, that's not how government functions. If the government is not consistent, then it is not a government. Nobody cares that the bus don't work until it's late. You understand what I'm saying? So in that, nobody cares. This white man could kill as many people as he wants until he killed somebody that they care about. You see what I'm saying? Then now we got to change it. And that's what I'm talking about. That's false pride. That's hubris. That's you acting like you want to see some change when really you just want to be able to see change for you. You know what I'm saying? It ain't about the people.
Now, speaking of so-called government, today, of course, Biden made the announcement that of his pick, made public his pick for vice president. And I just want to share my feeling about that.
Please.
If you recall, when the Democratic, the race for the Democratic nominee was in full force, you know, you had Biden, you had Warren, you had Harris, you had the guy from Jersey, you had so many that were, and Bernie, everybody, and Trump. I mean, and Biden was, I think, at the back, almost at the back of the heap, if you will, the back of the race. And then all of a sudden, something happened, and everybody, you know, stepped out, withdrew their. Just suddenly, it was like it was lockstep. They all withdrew their bids for the nomination, and they all threw their support behind him.
Right.
It was at that point that I realized something was up, because, you know, first of all, Biden is from my state, you know, so you kind of be aware of some things sometimes. Yep. But I knew something was up, and today it just proves that the reason why they all bowed out is because the plan all along was, if we would put this seemingly underdog and say we're putting our support behind him, knowing that his age and his mental, you know, capacity, which you can see in a lot of things, his memory and so much are diminished and so forth. If we put it all behind them, either one or two things might happen. Either he's not going to be able to make it to the whole thing, but we'll get the person we really want, who's up here with us. We'll push the narrative of a black female vice president, and she's not even black, right? So she's the first generation of her family that was born here, and I think she's Indian. So I don't even know. You don't have to. What is it?
Her father's British, and they own a plantation in Jamaica. So she been owning niggas. She done put more black men in jail.
There you go.
Anybody else? That's why her and Biden is two peas in a pod, because Biden was the one that worked and created the prison pipeline situation. They got tapes of him calling people niggas, calling black people niggas on the Senate floor. And you niggas are still going to vote for him? Y'all niggas still going to act like he got a chance? This is what I'm saying. Y'all deserve whatever they do to you. They do. I'm to the point. Me, sis, look. Pedo Joe. First of all, he's a pedophile. He don't love nobody as much as he love a little girl or his granddaughter. Okay, he done there's thousands of pictures of him tongue kissing her. Okay, they got pictures of him groping little kids, groping them in front of their parents, and their parents letting them do it because they got to toe the line. So what I'm telling you is, if this is the line in the road in the sand has been drawn. I've been telling people since 1997 that these people been eating babies, that these people been raping children, that these people been selling fake humans as meat. Everything that is coming out to be true now, I was talking about over 20 years ago. Why? Because I came up watching people who told me, the elders that told me, Bobby Hemmett, you see what I'm saying? The Brother Daoud, Steve Coakley, Delbert Blair, bless the dead for all of the ones that was gone, and others, Khalid Muhammad. Like, I came up in that. I came up understanding that. Like, I spoke to a sister that I went to grade school with a little while ago. This was my first girlfriend in fourth grade, fifth grade. And we was talking, and I said something, and she was like, "What are you talking about? You was on this when we was in school, in grade school, in fourth, fifth grade. You was talking to me about crazy shit like this." I'm like, "What?" She was like, "Yeah." And I'm saying all of that to say that the truth don't care who tell it. You know what I'm saying? It don't care who tell it. It don't care how loud you say it. It don't care when you say it. But you know it when you hear it.
That's right.
They have created a situation now where the line in the sand is drawn. If you support the Democrats, if you support Kamala Harris, if you support anybody around with them, you are supporting international pedophilia, baby eating, necrophilia, human trafficking, human slavery, Freemasonry, satanic ritualistic abuse, organ harvesting, denationalization, genocide, infanticide. You're supporting it all.
That's it.
If you support the Cardi B's, the Megan Thee Stallion, these people, they are the cufflinks on the shirt of white supremacy. You understand? They are what makes it look nice. They are what makes it, you know what I'm saying? They put it on, they use them as accents to make you want to be a slave. I posted some shit. I posted this thing on my internet the other day because I'm watching the video and I noticed they had the transsexual flag throughout the whole video. The transsexual flag, the flag for the transsexuals, right? So I'm bugging. I'm like, does anybody else see this? So I go back and look at it again. I look at it again and look at it again. No, this is the theme. This is the color palette for the video. So then I say, look, I ain't even gonna get into whether or not, because you know everybody like she's a man, she's not a man. I ain't even gonna get into all of that because people see what they want to see now. They don't mess people up so much. Even real natural women don't even know what women look like no more.
That's true.
So I'm gonna just leave that to your own devices. My point in the post was showing the fact that if it's not a transsexual, then why would the whole color palette behind the video and through the whole thing be promoting that?
What video was that?
The new one they got out. The one with her.
Oh, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, that one.
Wow.
So if you look at that joint, you'll see what I'm talking about.
I saw it. I have to go back and look at it again because I didn't pay attention to it.
Again, there's a scene you'll start to notice some color, a color scheme in it. When you find and look at that color scheme, you will see that that is actually the color scheme for the transsexual flag. So why would somebody that's not transsexual agree to have the transsexual flag colors throughout their entire video? I guess the same reason why somebody who is not, let's say, homosexual would have the rainbow in their videos. Do you know anybody that's not homosexual that's doing that? No. No, you don't.
Now, I posted a rainbow the other day, but it was a real picture of a rainbow that I took after the store.
I'm talking about a rainbow. The rainbow is real.
Right.
That's in reality. You understand?
Right. Yes.
The LGBTQ flag, that is a fiction. That was adopted by them, and it's not the rainbow because they put the red at the top. And whenever you put the red chakra at the top, you're invoking right? The opposite of what you're doing.
That's the root chakra. That's the root.
Right. Putting the root chakra at the top, so that means what? Sexuality is the dominant factor over intellect, over reason. over emotional responsibility or morality. But these niggas is so brainwashed that these democratic socialist Negroes, Marxist Negroes, done told them that having morality is a form of patriarchy, oppression, and white supremacy. This is how sick these people are, man. They sick.
I interviewed a former late senator here in Delaware, who was probably one of our first melanated senators back around 89, 90. And I was interviewing him, and he said to me, he was up in age at the time, and he said, he said, Black folks wasn't always Democrats. Because at the time, we were doing a lot of, political stuff was going on. And at the time, I thought Senator Holloway was, he didn't know what he was talking about. But upon further investigation, I found out he knew exactly what he was talking about.
Right.
And then when I went further in, I did a little study on the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who, by the way, was born, Michael King, and had his name, he and his father changed their names to line up with the Martin Luther
ritual, the Freemasonic ritual, yes.
Right. And a lot of people don't know that. But that when he first, when he was doing what he was doing, he wasn't even registered. He was not a registered Democrat either. He was an independent. It appears that when he was arrested, then presidential candidate JFK was running, was the only one that reached out to him and was able to pull strings, so got him released. And then all of a sudden, our community then began to vote Democratic, seemed to be like almost in response to JFK reaching out and assisting MLK, which now when I look back on it, I can even say that that's suspect, because it was probably done just like things are done today. Just like you would nominate a Kamala Harris, you would help a up and coming or outstanding so-called. It wasn't even called the Civil Rights Movement. I understand at the time. I think it was like a liberation or something movement.
Freedom Walkers.
Freedom Walk. That Fannie Lou Hamer. You had Medgar Evers, and what they were trying to do was to thwart that. And so you interject an MLK,
that's right,
and a Rosa Parks, because Rosa Parks was not even the sister. She wasn't even the sister that wouldn't give up her seat.
No.
She's not the one. They think she's the replacement, the face that they wanted to show. And my study showed that there was a place called the Mountaintop, nicknamed the Mountaintop, where people would go that were being groomed to be put back into the community for various, I would call them nefarious purposes. And so when MLK was starting to get hip to all of his perks, after all of his perks and all of the women and everything they were giving him, he realized what he was doing towards the end and started dropping, information about being refugees in our own land and about the land that was being given away. And he was starting to become frustrated. And then he says, I've been to the mountaintop. So most people looked at that statement as meaning he was like Moses. He looked over, and I might not get there with you, but they didn't know that there literally is a place, a grooming place where I understand he and Rosa Parks probably met. And I think I'm trying to remember where I got this from. I do know where I got this from. I began to study as a result of some things shared by one of my guests, Dwayne Hendricks, who's head in the Wayne Williams Freedom Project. And so I thank Dwayne for all of his hard work and research, because then you go back and you look and then you see. So the Mountaintop, is more of a place of grooming. And so MLK was not originally in this to help the people, but to put us into what we ended up in, 14th Amendment citizens under the Civil Rights Act.
He was there to replace the person that was really doing the work, which was an elder named Vernon Johns. Vernon Johns was doing the work, but Vernon Johns was rolling with brothers that was ready to bust shots at people. He was a preacher and all that, but he wasn't having it. He's the one that laid the groundwork for it, became the Deacons of Defense. And he, being a high-ranking 33rd degree Mason, started to try to get all the other Masons to start to break the ties with the white Masons that had been going on since Albert Pike and Thornton Jackson created the Morals and Dogma that became the basis of the Scottish Rite jurisdiction that they established at the Scottish Rite Temple in Washington that they refer to as the mountaintop. So say he went to the mountaintop, he's saying that he went to the Scottish Rite jurisdiction over there under Pike and received the L'Oreals from who? From Rothschild. Right. Because one thing about Michael Luther King is part of the stories and some of the elders that was actually there that I interviewed myself. Okay. Told me the only thing a black woman could do was tell that nigga where the white woman was at. First of all, you know what I'm saying? He was into that. They said that the day that he was going to get the Nobel Peace Prize, he had been arrested low-key by the officials out there because they found him chasing some white woman naked down the hall. The night before he's supposed to get the Nobel Peace Prize. Who nominated him for that? They did. Right. Who's they? Rothschild, right? What's his name? Kennedy and them, right? And the so-called NAACP. Why? Because the NAACP was established as a derivative of the so-called government to be able to move the individual districts that we still had majority control over. You understand that black people up until the late maybe 50s in parts of the United States own thousands of acres of oil fields, of diamond mines, of gold mines, still right now. And that the white man had to come in and beg them to be the face for it. Like so much history. Like Standard Oil was able to establish the Rockefeller land, the railroad system that it was going to use because it purchased the temple charter from Charles Bay from temple number, I think 7 or 8 in Ohio. And back then, any land charter, any temple charter actually was also connected to the land. You can look this up. The dirty Moors been selling this place out to their Freemasonic slaves for a long time. And the time now is up. All of that is coming to do because all y'all niggas sold us out. When you look at Marcus Garvey, I got pictures of Marcus Garvey standing next to Walter Pleckler. Who's Walter Pleckler? Walter Pleckler was the guy that after y'all agreed to go along with the con that y'all was all imported as African slaves, he was the one that came behind you and said, okay, you're African now. You don't have no land. You're a Negro. And then the land that you own, we're going to sell that name to a Caucasian dude. And that's how they did it. And Garvey was down with it. And when Garvey didn't want to go down with it after a certain point, that's when they arrested him. But before that, he was a part of the whole Back to Africa movement. That's what I'm saying. This is what's that. And the prophet came, and that's why I said, man, nobody could tell me nothing about Noble Jew Ali. Because Noble Jew Ali came at that time, saw what was going down, realized what they was happening, and realized that after Garvey got locked up, all those Garveyites was just out there. They didn't have no movement, no nothing. So now they all targets. So that's when Hoover and them started trying to go at them. So the prophet sets up the Moorish Science Temple of America, Divine and National Movement, and then welcomes all the Garveyites in. And then get money with the money that they give him. He then take that money and put that on Garvey books. Facts. Put it on his books. When nobody was messing with Garvey. Nobody. W.E. Du Bois was one of his most detractors going against him. Why? Because Du Bois was with the Boule, and the Boule was with the Roman Jesuit stuff, and that was all connected to the NAACP because they wanted the Harlem Renaissance thing to represent black culture because they wanted to stop black people having actual scholastic leaders, and they wanted all black leaders to come from entertainment and arts and the arts and all that. Why? Because because in the white man mind, they're more susceptible to homosexuality. True. Facts. That's what it is. Kissinger, read the Kissinger report of 1973 where he says we have to use homosexuality to destroy the inner city black communities because their families are so strong that we have to break the family from within by decrying the moral fabric between the mother and the father. But we're going to use the mother to do it. Read it. I ain't making this up. It can't be a conspiracy theory if it's over 45 years old and you can read it. But niggas don't read because niggas only do what they told because they've been following artists for the past 50 and 80 years, and all they've been doing is getting you to follow behind trends, right? To how to wear your pants, how to do this, how to do that. But when it comes to how to set up a government, how to get a nationality, how to not get arrested, how to actually properly lean someone, you can't do it. That's too heavy. But you niggas can become cops and go out here and shoot your own people. That's what I'm saying, man. I'm to the point, or we're getting to the point now where the rubber done met the road. It's really no talking no more. If you the type of person that's gonna make excuses for these people, then you down with them. Period. You down with them. So if you down with them, you're not with me. And if you're not with me, you're not with Allah. You're not with the Moors. You're not with humanity, because that's what I'm with. I'm with humanity. I'm with the original man, original woman, original child. First, before anybody else. If that's selfish, then so be it. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with only focusing on my people. The question is, why is my people not cool with only focusing on themselves? Why do black people have to be the doormat for every other race? And why, when the races that are marginalized by the so-called majority society, why when they become mainstream, they automatically become white supremacists? You ever notice that? They kept the Puerto Ricans and them out, right? Soon as they started getting more political power, more situations, more congressional representation, what happened? Latinos is different from blacks. Remember that? Same thing with the Native Americans, right? We shit on Native Americans. Native Americans ain't this and that, whatever. They took niggas to court to kick them out. Said that we can't have no black people in Cherokee Nation. These is white people, right? Same thing with the Chinamen, with the Asians, right? They open up the community, restaurants, do all of that or whatever. We support them or whatever. They call us all types of shit, right? Same thing now with the gays, right? The gays, and they all use civil rights, right? They get the black people. First started with the black feminists, Shirley Chisholm, right? Greta Arsberg and Gloria Steinem and Paglia, right? All of these black feminists, Angela Davis, right? Maya Angelou, right? Nikki Giovanni, right? All these dykes, right? All of them together, getting them together, and they decide that gay rights or female rights is more important than the human rights of the so-called black family. And what did that do? That created a whole generation of black women who went off to work. And what happened to their children? Left home, right? But before that happened, they instituted the law that said that if you're going to get these benefits, you can't have no man in the house.
No man, right. No man.
They tell that to the Asian woman? Did they tell that to the Mexican woman? Did they tell that to the white woman? Did they tell that to the Jewish woman? Did they tell that to the Korean woman? All of them on welfare. All of them getting whipped and all of that. Do they not able to have the man in the house? Yes, they are. I was on welfare at one point as a child. I remember going there and seeing Jews in there with jewels on, getting welfare checks, diamonds and minks and shit, just walking in, getting a check, walking out. Meanwhile, everybody else in here looking like goddamn animals. It ain't supposed to be like that. But these Negroes in positions of power want it to stay like that because that's how they keep their money. And they don't care about you. You are nothing to them. They are willing to allow your children to be eaten. I just saw a report that said 90%, look at my lips, 90% of all of the meat in the United States is human meat. Look it up. It's on my Facebook page right now if y'all scared. It's all human meat. And they said 85% of it is children. When you get certain burgers and the meat look real pink, real pink like that, that's a child you eating. That's why they call them impossible burgers. That's what these plant-based burgers they giving you is. Because you niggas don't even realize that melanin is plant-based. It's chlorophyll. At one point, we was green. We look like this now because of all of the heavy oxidation of iron that came into the atmosphere when these crackers got here. This is rust. This is what happens when you leave something of magnesium and heavy copper content out in the sun. What happened? It turned brown, right?
Mm-hmm.
You ever notice when certain babies is born, original babies, they have what they call Mongolian spots or the Godsmack on the back, where they got a big melanin patch. It's green on the back of their body or something. And after a while, it just fades into the rest of the body.
I still have one.
That's right. That's right, sis. You still got one. Yeah. You know why? Because you're a human being. We're real humans. We don't have no RH factor recessed monkey DNA in us. We don't have the COA2 defect recessive gene in us. We do not have it. Everybody else got it though. So isn't it a wonder that everybody else hate us and everybody else want to mate with us and have our babies? And as soon as we're done with that, they get rid of us, kill us, take the baby, right? Turn it into a girl, turn it into a boy, whatever. And what? We supposed to just sit here and take this for another 243 years? Shit. You might as well just, might as well. If y'all think that that's what's going to happen, y'all might as well just kill yourself now and make way for those of us that's trying to do something about it. Because as I see it, everybody's down with it. Everybody's down with it. Everybody that's not talking about it is down with it. Anybody that comes to you and tell you something like, oh, you talking about the pedophilia thing again, talking about these children thing again, he or she probably down with it. Right now, that's the only thing we should be talking about. We shouldn't be talking about COVID. We shouldn't be talking about nothing else except how does 90% of the meat in America come from human beings? And you wonder why niggas is crazy? You know what happens when you feed cow to a cow? The cow go crazy. That's what mad cow is. Guess what? That's what dementia is. Y'all ain't ready for that. That's where dementia come from eating the excess of human beings. It's driving you crazy. And the way I know is it hit home to me because that's how my father died. My father could cook. Look, my father was a cook, bless the day. My father was a cook in the army. My father could cook, excuse my French, the shit out of a chicken. Okay? My father was KFC. You know what I mean? Like if you like chicken, anybody know my father, if you ever ate my father chicken, you know. You know what I'm saying? That's all he ate. That's all he ate was chicken. That's what he loved the most. You know what I'm saying? So when the dementia started rolling around, is around the time now I start doing the knowledge to all of this. To what? Because I was really what set me off on it was researching mad cow disease. And in researching that, where it was actually coming from. And I said, well, wait a minute. If that's the case, and they put in the food in the cow, they feeding the cow to the cow, then maybe that's what's happening with the human beings. So now I start researching the aspects of dementia, was coming up with this stuff. And if you look at the aspect of dementia and the side effects of kuru, anybody know what kuru is? Kuru is the virus that you get when you eat people over a certain amount of time.
They said that a certain person whose initials are HRC was suffering from that.
Yes. And that kuru is where when you read the symptoms of that as a process of eating people and you read the whole thing about dementia, all that, it's the same thing. Because they've been feeding people to people from when they started McDonald's. Go to YouTube and type in the Rabbi Finkelstein interview. Just type it in. Now, the guy that you see, the Jewish guy that you see in the video, is a still. And you'll see a picture of this Jewish guy sitting like this, and he bald head with glasses. That's not Finkelstein. That's another Jew that was working with Israeli Mossad. So I don't know why he put his face on there. But listen to the interview. And in the interview, you will see that everything that is happening in terms of the children eating. See, every year it gets a little more intense. So you started hearing the little inklings of the Catholic Church molest children somewhere around the mid 80s. You started hearing little things about that. And then it started to go into, okay, these guys are, and then you started to see a lot of people being arrested for so-called pedophilia. Then around the mid 90s, you see this explosion of movies in which you see this hyper sexualization of children. American Beauty, remember that? With Kevin Spacey, one of the main niggas on the island eating, raping babies, right? And in that movie, he's trying to have sex with the 14-year-old girl. But there's a scene in the movie where she's sitting there and she's naked on the bed and you see all these rose petals falling, right? The rose petal represents the adrenochrome. You understand? The coronavirus image, the image of the corona little thing, that represents the adrenochrome. They're all sources of the same thing. This thing has been going on for the past 243 years. We're just consciously waking up to it now. This is why they hate the Moors, because we're the ones that shut it down. We're the ones that stopped all of this from happening all over the world up until 1492. This is why they hate the Moors. This is why they got so many black people coming out against Moors. Because we're the only ones that can stop them, because we're the ones that did it the first time. While everybody else was partying with these niggas, right? Joining up with the Roman army, going to the gladiator games, right? What's the difference?
Football, baseball,
right? Sport, right?
Sport. Yeah.
Because the word sport, right? S-P-O-R-T actually comes from the Roman word sportque, S-P-Q-R, right? Which was the sign that they would hold during the times of the gladiators, of the games. You see what I'm saying? And what were the games used for? To distract the people away from the fact that government was trying to kill them. So if we're in Rome today, why do they think it's different? They doing the same exact thing, man. And you Negroes fall for it. We're the only people, Moorish Americans, Moors are the only free people in the world. You know why? Because we're the ones that's at the very bottom of it. And according to all of their books, all of their little fake books they read, the meek shall inherit the earth, right? Who was last shall be first, right? So what do they do? They gotta try to make themselves be first. So they create the whole Nazi Holocaust thing, right? To create a situation so that way their own people could kill them, so that way they could be justified to go into a whole nother place they ain't never genetically had no ancestry before in, and set up a whole nother state there and do the same thing the Nazis was doing to them, to the black people that's there, who they call Palestinians. But that's the Palestinian fault too. You know why? Because there's no such thing as a Palestinian. You know what I'm saying? That's not a nationality. Those are Moors too, from Egypt. Just like the Moors in the Moros in the Philippines, or the Moors in the West Papua New Guinea, the Morai, or the Maori, or the Morinas in South America. These are all our people. But they calling us different things. And then what we do is we just absorb ourselves into whatever nationality is ruling the country at the time. And that's why we always wind up at the bottom. Because we haven't consolidated and come out of the fact that we were never United States citizens to begin with. We was never niggas to begin with. We was never black to begin with. We was never enslaved to begin with. We could never be enslaved even with a chain on our neck because we are not Slovenians. So there's no way that I could be. So not only did you put me in bondage, but then you gave me the nationality of the agreed upon slave race that my people instituted. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And you got people, our color, that's out here capping for these fools. That's out here banging. Like I said, I posted that thing about the transsexual undertones in the video, and everybody's trying to go in about how the fact that she's not a man, trying to pull all these pictures out. Oh, well, this is what she looked like, is this, and that. Where's that same energy when it comes to the children? That wasn't the point of the post, nigga. The point of the post was, this is what is engendering to our children. And these two whores are trying to get your daughters and mine to accept hold'em, so that way they can't find a good man. Because no good man want a hoe.
Now, the background words of it is saying there are whores in the house or something, right? Whores.
Thank you. That's what
it says it's whores.
Yes.
I did hear.
But it gets better. When you look at the video is taking place in a giant mansion.
With the black and white floors, just
with the Masonic joints in the thing, with the pedophilia pyramid in the circle, with the what you call it, with the transsexual flag colors in the back, with the women with the breasts shooting the milk out of the nipples and all of this stuff, right? This is children watching this. Then they have the ultimate transgender in it, Kylie Jenner. But this is how they freak Kylie part. Kylie is walking. Her scene, she not even with them chicks. She walking upright. The whole video, all the other chicks on the floor.
Popping. They down there popping.
Crawling, licking each other on the ground. Kylie ain't touched the ground. Kylie wasn't even in the same scene with them. All you see Kylie do is walk in and walk out. So what does that say subliminally? Subliminally, they've given their power to the main tranny, which is this chick, right? Right? Because she's white and she's Kardashian and she's got money and we're just hoes. So again, they've distinguished. So even though Kylie in the video, she's not the hoe in the video. The hoes is the black chicks. You see what I'm saying? And then it's taking place in a mansion, right? But the mansion is symbolizing the same mansion parties that Cat Williams told us about, where they have all the sex orgies and rape the children and all that shit in. This is what they're doing. So the two main characters in the video are running around the mansion like this is so fun. They're making it like it's cool. You understand? And black people is so, excuse me. And so-called black people have allowed themselves to fall so low that they now actually make excuses for these devils and make excuses for the women. And so when I wrote in the thing, I was like, yeah, but I ain't never say she was a man or not. I don't even care. My opinion on what gender it is irrelevant. You understand? Whether what I believe, Megan, or whoever is irrelevant. Because my opinion has nothing to do, because I'll never really know, because I'll never allow myself to get close enough to a devil like that to even inspect it. That's how I am in it. My vibration won't even allow them niggas next to me. So all I can do is make an assessment based on what my intuition and what my common sense tell me. But that's irrelevant. What is relevant is the subliminal suggestions that are being given to our children, and the fact that nobody is even talking about that. That nobody is talking about that in the video. Instead, you want to cap for this chick and talking about, oh, y'all just hating, you reaching, she's really a woman. Look at the pictures of her when she was a girl. Well, how come you're not trying to find the pictures of all of these kids that's been missing? Me and the Moors the other day out here, boy. The other day had to run down on some dude because he took this sister's daughter. And when we ran up on the dude, found him, right? Mm-hmm. The hood rat he got a hot girl summer t-shirt on. That's Megan's song. That's Megan's song. That's the song. Oh. So again, I'm showing you how it comes full circle.
The influence. Yeah.
I mean, where I live is Amber Alert Central. They stay stealing kids out here. Stay stealing. So the Moors out here, low-key set up a little hotline that God forbid something like that happen, we could get something popping. Because we can't depend on nobody to help us. Ain't the NFAC niggas, Grandmaster Jane, them niggas ain't coming out here to help us. You know what I'm saying? Like we on our own. And any Moors, any real American understands that. If you a real American, you know that in the end, you on your own. And the only people that's there is the people that's riding for you. That's what makes you an American. Having to do shit yourself and have to protect yourself from being killed by the same people that you elected to protect you. That's America. Excuse me. That's different. No, that's the United States. America is the beautiful. That's the land. That's the, you know what I'm saying? America is the TV show. United States is the commercial. You know what I'm saying?
And there's the unfortunate thing is that so many Moors and others don't know that the United States is not the country.
No.
They don't realize that this is a corporation.
Yes.
That, you know, you're being led, we're being, you know, I said it's the same as DuPont, it's the same as Hercules or you know, whatever. It's a corporation.
I've had knowledgeable Moors try to argue me down about this, man. I've pulled out the actual documentation and shown them. And they still, you understand? Because they are dependent. Look, there's no way we could have been banging on the devil, enslaving him, and then enslaving all of humanity at the same time. So anybody that say that the Moors was the ones that worked with the Europeans and all, that's a lie. We're the only ones that's on record banging on them. All the rest of y'all niggas sold out. All of y'all sold out. All of them. The Indians sold out. So stop calling yourself that, because they sold out and they don't have no power. What has power is Indian country, is being from Indian country. And being an American Indian only has substance if you have a Moorish nationality, if you didn't know. But these Aboriginal 80 or whatever, they're not going to tell you that, because, again, they get money too. I got a picture of the dude, the NFAC dude, Jam Master J or whatever you call this nigga, right? Standing next to the dude, the white Freemasonic dude that he was running with president, for president with, right? Then I got a picture of him behind Trump doing security for him at the Trump rally. Then we got a picture of him doing a ad talking about something. And as soon as he walk away from the camera, you see the big G encompass a square behind him. So this is an op. This is an op straight up. So that's that.
And then he's trying to get people to, our people to leave here, like to leave the land. It's another like a Marcus Garvey thing. We need to leave here. We need to leave here. So I'm just telling my co-host, Brother Alanara. I said, wait a minute. He's an agent. Why is he's trying to get us to leave?
Y'all black. Anybody still calling y'all black as an agent? Anybody still calling y'all black as an agent? Anybody calling you Moorish? Anybody telling you to be a sovereign citizen is an agent? These are agents that don't exist. You understand? When they tell you that you're an Aboriginal, what's the word they say? They say Aboriginal Hebrew, right? See, the problem with that is Aboriginal means from the land. Hebrew means to cross over from the land. How you gonna be both? You see how they got you? They stupid. They crazy. They've put so much emphasis on what they want it to be that it can never be that for them now. Because in order for it to manifest and for them to pull the truth out of it, they have to be real with themselves. And I told you, our people are suffering from a deep depression and deep hubris. Look, I know people that I came up with that want this knowledge. They won't even get it. I've been talking, like I said, I was talking about this since the sister told me since the 4th grade. I got people who I done came up with when I got knowledge of self, at the same time, me and them, right? Now that I've reached this level with it, they don't even want it. Why? Because I'm doing it. Because everything I said turned out to be true. So God forbid now, they got to come behind me, you see what I'm saying? And be about some shit that I told them about in 1984. I told the same shit to Talib Kweli. I told the same shit to Dead Prez and these niggas. When they was talking about I'm an African and all that, I'm the one telling them, no, you not. You not an African. But I like the album and I like the movement, so I'm going to support them. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I'm going through shit. I was doing, at the time that Let's Get Free came out, they had an organization called Africa Unite. And then they were connected to another organization called the Uhuru Movement, right? And so I was out there doing outreach for the Uhuru Movement with my daughter out here in the And they used to have in Brooklyn, they used to have the African Street Festival. And they used to have it before it was in boys, before they have it where they have it now. They used to have it in Boys and Girls High School, in the track yard and all that. So it was huge. So I remember me and my daughter out there. They gave me a bunch of flyers. I'm out there with her. Niggas was taking flyers from me, but when they see me with this beautiful baby, they took them flyers. We was just out. So I'm feeling like, yeah, I'm a part of a movement. You know what I'm saying? I'm politicizing my baby. Like, we about to do it. Yeah, these niggas is African and I'm a Moor, but you know, we still trying to get free. You know what I'm saying? No, they wasn't. These niggas wasn't trying to do none of that. They was trying to get as much as they could, make some good music, get their money, and keep it moving. These niggas was not trying to turn it into nothing else. And this is not to diss them. Because again, if it wasn't for them, half of the Moors that I know wouldn't be politicized with knowledge of self. Because a lot of Moors got sparked through albums like that. Let's Get Free and Brand Nubian and this and that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. However, when you know better, you do better. And when you get to a certain point, I knew it was over for them when they hooked up with Jay-Z. When I seen Jay-Z wearing the red, black, and green, he went through a phase where he was acting like he was going to rock with them and Sana. He was wearing a little red, black, and green wristband. I was like, oh, it's over for them. Anybody mess with that dude is a wrap for them. Because that dude's the police. You understand? Because he's the police. And anybody that's down with him is either the police or working with them. So yes, that's Griselda. That's all these street niggas. All of these guys. If you working with him, you understand you working with the police. Facts. Not because I don't like Jay-Z. I never did. Me personally, you know what I'm saying? I never did. But he was like God to some of these niggas. But to me, I never got it. To me, it always seemed like he was just he just buddy hustled up, and whatever Jazz was doing, he would do that. Whatever Big was doing, he would do that. Whatever one was doing, he would do that. But he made an art out of that. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So obviously he got a talent to something. However, the integrity, and this is how people can flip shit. The real Master P is, the real Jay-Z is Master P. Jay-Z was never gangster like that when it came to that. Master P was rolling up in interviews, went to Jive, the same people that screwed over Tribe Called Quest. Richard Weiss said, look, we want Mystical. We don't like how you treat him. Well, we can't let him go. We can't do this, this, and that. Why not? Well, he has a deficit over $375,000. What? That's it? P sat down, wrote the check. We out. That's gangster. You understand what I'm saying? That's gangster. And made it so he keep all his masters. Every artist that P ever worked with own their own masters. Nobody in the game did that. Not Puffy, not none of these niggas. Shook, none of them. Why would P do it? Because P wasn't a Freemason. See?
Right. Then you could tell he's the separate.
P ain't going to be gay for pay. P ain't going to sit there and put on an apron. And he came from the main place of where the Scottish Rite jurisdiction at, Louisiana. And obviously he didn't. Because that's why they were always trying to marginalize him and then punch Jay up there. See, look at Jay. Look at Jay. Look at the ones that we like. No. You look at the ones that they don't like. Whoever the white man don't like, that's who I mess with. You don't like Trump, I'm down with him. You don't like Master P, I'm down with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it gotta be. Whatever they don't like, whoever they don't endorse, that's who you need to be messing with.
And let's go back, you know, since we have an opportunity to talk about this, but you mentioned Trump. You know, I didn't vote for him. I know but a lot of people, you know, were down with him when he had his The Apprentice thing. They watched it. They like, yeah, he, you know, but as soon as he gets in there, he took his own finances, I overstand, and then and came in to help drain the swamp. Not saying that he's not himself, like you know, Todd just said a lot of times he was born privileged, but
he's right. A Gemini.
Right. So he's up there draining the swamp, and the deep state is pissed off because And while we're getting on the MS, mainstream media bandwagon about everything negative against him, we don't know that he signed laws that would lock up all of these pedophiles that you've been talking about, take away all their assets, get them wherever they are around the globe. That's why a lot of stuff has been going on, of late. They don't know that he recently, like last week, signed the law to reduce prescription drug prices at least 50% or more because of how they've been gouging. He said the savings, because apparently the overcharge were going to kickbacks to people that get kickbacks. And so, and a lot that more Moors were employed under in the first 3 years of his administration than in the previous 8 years of Obama. And can't nobody tell us anything that Obama did except, sign the rights of indigenous people, and didn't even have none of us stand up there when he was doing it. That's nothing that we can think of in terms of gains that we got for those 8 years, except we thought we put him in. And then when you go back and trace the history, he's related and connected to the Bushes and all in the same bloodline of the rest of the previous presidents that I think, by the way, Trump is not a part of. But we're on this bandwagon. They're downing him because he's exposing them. He's exposing the fact that a lot of the funds that the taxpayer dollars have been going over to foreign countries and coming back as kickbacks to senators and congress people and so forth. The reason why we don't question why a person can go down and they have to be like Elijah Cummings or something, got to die to get them out of office. Because why don't they leave? Because they get paid and they're doing the bidding. I mean, why Biden is there? I was 24 years old when Biden was a senator, and I'm 65, so that's at least 41 years. So why is he there for 41 plus years? It's dirty. It's the swamp. When you're there that long, you're dirty. I don't care who you are, because when you get down there the first term, you find out how dirty it is, and then you run for re-election. That means they got you.
Let me tell you this, sis. A person's nature is what they are. So you could be the most knowledgeablest, the most pristine and appearance and elocution and elocution and how you express yourself and be immaculate, all of that. But if you got a dirty heart, you're a dirty Moor. It don't matter how many people think you clean, no matter how many you dirty. So you got to understand, this person came up in the system with these people.
Right.
So anybody knows how dirty they are, it's him. Right. And participated with these people to a certain degree to be able to get enough dirt on them for them to trust them. Because certain people don't trust you unless you got some dirt on you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
To claim people don't, like, some people don't trust people that ain't been in jail at least once. You know what I'm saying? Like, real talk. Like, that's just how it is, especially in the streets. So this guy has been living a dualistic life, and he's a blood dragon Gemini. So he's like 4 different Gemini. He's like 2 Geminis in one. So that's like 4 different Geminis, right? With 2 personalities apiece. So this nigga is, so that's why he could play 4th dimensional chess. I don't know if you've ever played it. I've played it. You used to see it on Star Trek. They have a chessboard and it's like 3 levels. And the goal is to be able to play the chess and get all the way down.
I can't play 1-dimensional chess, so
it's on. But what I'm saying is, I'm saying he could play that because he is, again, all within himself. He's like 5 different people in one person. But each one of them personalities is Trump. That's what's different. See, you have program multiples where each personality is different. In his programming, each one is a more iller version than the last one. So that's why you can never get him. You know what I'm saying? So he'll do something that looks like it's messing him up. Look, this how he works. I've noticed. It's like this. He either let them do something and then catch them after they do it and then bring the hammer down, or he leave it open for them to do it. You know what I'm saying? And then they do some dumb shit and then he bring the hammer down anyway. Look at what happened with Jussie Smollett. That's why he was so heavy against that. So now this is what Kamala, who's joining up with this nigga, you understand? She's under indictment. Kamala Harris is under indictment. Susan Rice is under indictment. Joe Biden is under indictment. All these niggas under indictment. There ain't gonna be no election the way that you think, because you can't elect a criminal. Not anymore. He deaded that. This Trump made it so that way you can't elect criminals anymore. That's how ill this nigga is. He done put everything out there, and black people is so just in the middle. You don't know how much you're needed. You don't know how much. If you just knew how much power y'all have, man. It's because I be talking to people in positions of power, man. A lot of times you don't see me and I don't be posting stuff is because I'm in the real world, really doing shit, really talking to people, really doing certain things that I can't even talk about because I can't, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't want dirty.
Yeah.
But I'm letting you know that there are people in the world that got armies, whole armies. They ready to come and hold you down. But you won't let them come. You won't let them do it because you hold it. Because to them, you look like you're supporting all of this. The more you join up with them, the more you're voting, the more you're coming into these people. You cannot, look, voting in the Republic is totally legal. But you're not in the Republic right now. You're in the democracy. They took you out of the Republic to try you in the democracy. And the democracy is Rome. And Rome is Babylon. And Babylon is the devil. So if you, right, want to get free, you can't use the keys. You can't use the words that lead to slavery to be free. So if I created the word Nicholas, and I have a copyright for Nicholas, and you want to open a business called Nicholas, right? You can open it up without telling me, but if I find out, I can shut you down. Why? Because I own the name, right?
Right.
Now, think about every black man and woman in the country as a franchise for the word black, African American. When you put that on the census, when you put that on any official documents, whatever, you are now owned. You've been owned, but now you're really owned. You're doubly owning, giving your ownership up.
You fill out that sentence, you re-owning yourself. You re-upping.
You're right. You're giving yourself, depending on how you fill it out. Because the census really ain't even for them. It ain't even for the United States. This is about the real governments that's about to come in. The real shit. That's why you got to make sure you know what your nationality is and properly declare it. So that way you may be heard. So that way you go to those who know law and speak in a mild-mannered tone, and you will receive a favorable reply. That's what our prophet told us. And every time that I have implemented that advice, it has worked. You ain't got to be out here protesting. You ain't got to be out here picketing and doing all this stuff. That's what these niggas want you to do. The LGBTQP XYZ, whatever you want to call them people have created a monopoly on civil rights now. They're the latest minority group to come over, take over use black people as a Trojan horse to get in. And now that they're in, black people become their slaves. So according to their documentation, any heterosexual man in the family has to go. What does that sound like? Planned Parenthood? That sounds like the Negro Project. That sounds like the welfare system. That sounds like the WIC program. That sounds like everything we've been dealing with. And what they want to
urban renewal, benign neglect. That's what happened in the 70s. And from that came hip hop, because there was nothing else. And then after the riots, after the blackout, everybody went looting. The next 2 weeks after that, everybody has sound systems, MPs, and the next thing you know, we all doing rap. Like, that's how it happened. So again, necessity is the mother of invention. So it is a necessity for these recessive people who are now literally extinct. Y'all still not paying attention to that. That the study already came out that the white race itself is genetically extinct. There is more dead white people than white people being born. They say by 2045, there will be no white people. For every 12 black person, there will be like 1 or 2 white people. This is their projection. So you know what they doing? They setting up the new white man, whether it be the Chinese, whether it be the so-called mulattoes,
whether it be the mixed race kids, whoever it's going to be, they're going to leave them in a place to stop the Moors, i.e. the melanated people, from just having a free way at it now that they're gone. And this is the problem. When you have no nationality, you are susceptible to any type of demonic possession that they want to throw at you. When the last time anybody has been in jail, when the last time you seen a Hindu man in American jail? In the comments. We all from the street, so everybody been locked up or whatever at least once. When the last time you ever seen a Hindu man in jail? When the last time you ever seen a Chinese man in jail? Last time I remember hearing about Chinese people in jail, it was these two Chinese brothers. And this was way back in the 80s I heard about these niggas. They basically beat up everybody in C-74 wing. Right? That was the last time I ever heard any Chinese people be in regular jail. The only people in jail is who? Black people, white people, Mexicans. When last time you seen a yarmulke wearing Jew in jail? Because they don't go to jail. That's only for colorable people with colorable titles. We are moving to the octave that if you don't have a nationality, then one will be provided for you. And the one they're going to give you is the one that's going to allow you to go to the camps. You understand? Because you're stateless. They got a TV show on Netflix right now called Stateless, and it's about a white woman in Australia that they wind up human trafficking, deporting low-key or whatever. She found herself in a refugee camp, don't know how to get out. They doing this to white people now. So what you think they're going to do to you, black man? Plus, you got to understand, the economy, United States, remember United States went through the last recession. They all went tanked, right? Then Obama came in, and then there was a rise in the economy again. You know why? Because they started to make human trafficking and babies part of the national GDP, okay? So this way they could use and create a currency that would be backed by the children that they harvest for the adrenochrome. This would be called adrenochrome currency. This was all being funneled through the dark web. The paymaster for that was a lady named Ghislaine Maxwell. Y'all heard of her, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell. But did you know that Ghislaine's sister is married to Dr. Fauci?
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
No, you didn't know that. But did you know that Ghislaine's other sister is a lady named Marina Abramovic? Did you know that?
Spirit cooker?
Yeah. But did you know that Marina Abramovic was born Michael Maxwell? Did you know that?
Oh, she was a brother first.
Yes.
Her brother.
And did you know that it had a son? And that son transitioned. And that son has a music career. But that son is named Lady Gaga. Yes. Look it up. Look it up. Look it up.
It's like, you know, it's like when they talk about going down the rabbit hole.
It gets better. But did you know that Dr. Fauci's mama is actually Mother Teresa, who is also now a part of the human trafficking thing, because they found out that Mother Teresa has been selling children from the late 1960s on up to now. And that she had a series of dummy financial accounts with the excess of over $50 million in banks in Zurich. Look it up. And did you know that
that's why Princess Diana called her despicable?
There you go. There you go. Because they all in the same gang. They all related. And didn't we see your man Jay-Z with Michael Abramovic, aka Marina, right? Wasn't they at the party rapping together? Remember that? Remember? So when I say that these niggas is the police, I'm telling you that they the police. I'm not saying that you shouldn't like Can't Stop the Hustle and Blueprint if that's what you like, the music. Chew the meat and spit out the bones, man. If you like the music, but don't deify the music by making the person making it a god, because they're not. They're the opposite. And you're playing yourself because you're supporting a pedophile. Last night, the dude like Keith Stanfield, the guy in the new movie There's a new movie coming out. My man, a friend of, well, an acquaintance of mine, Shaka King, big up to him. He is directing a movie called Judas and the Black Messiah. And in the movie, it's a movie about Fred Hampton. And one of the main characters, the Judas character, is the American-born brother, Lakeith Stanfield. Okay? He's playing the Judas. Fred Hampton is being played by an African. The same dude from Get Out. Now, black people, again, they want to be like, oh, see, you causing division. Oh, it's blah, blah, blah. But look, I'm not going to go to Nigeria and set myself up to play a Nigerian or a Nigerian character from Yoruba, because I'm not that. You understand? I'm not from Africa in that context. So I could be an extra in the back, you know what I'm saying? Like dancing, but when it comes to speaking lines and all that, I may not be able to do that because I wouldn't feel comfortable doing somebody else's culture like that. Because that's how I was raised. But these new niggas is not that, don't have no chivalry. First of all, the dude, this the guy that played in Get Out. He's playing Fred Hampton. He don't look nothing like Fred Hampton, whatever. Playing him. They did an interview with him, and in the interview, they asked him about racial shit or whatever, and he was like, see, I'm tired of talking about racism and all of that. I'm just David. I don't look at race like that. So why are you playing this character when the whole character is based on the fact that he was killed because of his race? This is who they have play these characters. That's like when they got Zoe Saldana to play Nina Simone. Like, then she on TV the other day crying, talking about, oh, well, I should have known, I shouldn't have done it, blah, blah. Yeah, but you did it anyway because you thought that you got it like that. You thought that these white people done told you so much because she done played every color female in the spectrum. And in every color, she done been with a white man. She never been with no black man in no movie. She'd have been blue. She'd have been green. She'd have been black.
Well, that's right. That's an Avatar, right?
Yes. She'd have been, she green in Guardians of the Galaxy. She'd have been black, right? They always paint this bitch a different color. They'd have made a dark skin, right, to play Nina. Why didn't you just go to somebody like Fantasia or some or a dark skin sister that can sing and do the. Why would you do that? Because they always have to manipulate our images. They got you following behind these dudes, and most of the dudes you follow behind that you think is from here, that's looking at things and grown up the same way you grew up, is not even from here. How many people thought that 21 Savage was a straight Georgia goon until you found out that his father was a holistic doctor and his mother was like a lawyer or some shit. Right? But he out here telling you, throw it up, you know what I'm saying? Drink lean and all this other stuff. He don't come from that. So why do they always bring these so-called foreign, so-called melanated people to come here and always make us look crazy? And why are we so quick to always defend these people just because they got the same so-called hue that you do? Nobody caps for us but us. Nobody looks out for the black so-called Americans or the African Americans but themselves. Everybody act like they like us, but everybody is just emulating us. Those that really like us, holler at us. People from other countries that holler at me, they hollering at me. They not hollering at me in the context of, oh, this is an American, I'm trying to get them. No, they resonating with what I'm talking about because they seeing the same thing in their country. Because Africans in their country don't even call themselves Africans.
True.
They call themselves Somalians or Nigerians.
That's
or
right. Ugandans. Yeah.
They deal with nationality.
That's right.
You understand? So again, when you have no nationality, you have to beck and call every other nation. That's why niggas will put on cowboy hats. Niggas will dye their hair beard if they think they cowboys. They'll dye their beards red to be pale Arabs. They'll grow Jew locks to look like Ashkenazims. They'll make salat and dua. They'll be more Muslim than the pale Arab. You understand? When they go in Kemite, they get so Kemite that it's like they don't even eat. When they go raw and vegetarian, they don't even eat air. They just ultimate. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is me. Like, I'm the best at it all. Like, they always was that. That's what I'm saying. False pride. Because this was the same nigga 2 years ago eating pork raw. You know what I'm saying? Like these niggas, our people are crazy. But we're still the most beautiful and the most brilliant original people on earth because everybody came out of us. That's why we got the blood we got. All of us with O blood type, we could give O to anybody in the world, but we can only receive it from our own. So what does that tell you? That tells you that one, you cannot get a recessive from, you cannot have a recessive above a dominant. Meaning that nothing recessive can rule over anything dominant. So that means then, if that is the universal law, then that means then that we are not under anybody's rule right now. So the question is, why are we not in our proper place? Because we have gotten used. There's an old Moorish saying that says, luxury dulls the edge of husbandry. So the more luxurious a situation is for you, the less you have to work, and then the more you take it for granted. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing with knowledge. We forget. I never forget what it was like not to know. You understand? I don't never talk to nobody, no matter how much I know or find out or whatever. I fret about the stuff that I don't know. That's the shit that worries me. Because what you don't know in this reality now gets you killed. So I never walk out here with this shoulder like everybody got to follow me. Everybody got to do what I say. I'm always right. I'm always this. Because they're going to put that on me anyway because I'm an Aries. You know what I'm saying? But having a double Scorpio means I got a lot of intuitive nature water element going. So I see, so like when I talk to somebody, I talk to them not what they telling me, but what they mean behind what they saying. You understand? People don't like to think that they're that obvious. But the more intense work you do on yourself, the more obvious everything is about everybody else becomes. And that's why they don't want you to focus on yourself. That's why they have you distracted and pay attention to everybody else except you. So that way you don't feel the cosmic shift. So that way you can attune yourself to the point that you can actually feel the earth vibrational core under your feet. That's why they say that you're supposed to walk in grass barefooted every so often.
I have my feet on the grounding pad as we speak right now.
That's right. Yeah. So you can get into a type of meditative state that you can actually feel the magnetic pull of the earth and then imbue your energy into it. Because we are conduits.
It's true.
Interstellar light. So when everything was pitch black, when there was nothing and everything was pitch black, we were the light. Imagine yourself as a total bioluminescent being walking around, talking to people, doing things. That was you and me. That's when we were running things through the so-called stellar period. Then we went to what we'll call the lunar period, in which now the moon light and the light that come from the stars, which manifests as the moons, became how we told us time and stars and distance and all of that. And that's when we were in the era of what you call the matriarchal, what they prefer as the matriarchal. But niggas even got that twisted. They got niggas thinking that matriarchal meant that women told men everything to do and men had no say. That's not how it worked. Because there's not one woman on earth that has not come through a penis. If you know one, show me. Show me one that ain't. Just like there's not one man on earth that ain't a real human man on earth that ain't come into this place through a vagina. If you know one, then tell me, show me. But until you do, we're going to go with the reality. Okay. And the reality says that if you want to incarnate into this physical planet, you got to come through either me or her. That's it. You understand? So to get around that, the cracker got to create different ways to get you to be born. But first, he had to get you to unborn and unmake yourself. And that's what the phase we're in now. Everybody's unmaking themselves so that way they can't be definitive about anything. What we understand as transgenderism, anybody can go check this out on YouTube. I did a joint called The Breakaway Society. It's up there right now. And you can go check this. But again, take time and watch it, because people told me that they watched it and they've actually like gotten headaches and vomited and stuff like that.
Wow.
And this has happened at lectures that I've done back in the days and stuff. You know, women have gotten a menstruation and stuff, like serious. Because I'm really not playing with this information. It's really, I'm not telling y'all nothing that I haven't really researched myself and found out, not only to be right, but exact. And so sometimes the resonant truth, depending on what you're dealing with, can cause an adverse reaction. I've had people fall asleep and people take that as a compliment, as a diss. I don't, because sometimes the conscious mind is so distracted and imbued with BS that in times like that, the person wants to stay and hear it. They will put themselves to sleep so they can receive it in a subconscious way. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean about the dissemination of information. We're at the stage now where if you are not clear as to where and who you are, you can be inhabited. And then you'll have a bunch of people that create a whole movement around you as if they knew you, as if that's who you really are. And then before you know it, you the poster child of this thing, right? And now you got to go along with it. And then if you don't, they want to kill you. Wow. This is how, what you think happened to Malcolm? That's what happened to Malcolm. That's what happened to what's his name? That's what happened to all these niggas. Because they got into the game and realized that everybody around them is an agent. And then some of them even realized, oh shit, I'm an agent.
I'm an agent.
I didn't even know that they may be an agent. This is how deep it is now. So again, man, you got to look out for the buzzwords that they're giving you to distract you from your culture. When they use terms like conspiracy theory, that can be traced back to a CIA memo 1035-960. Look it up. That is used as an autoimmune trigger to stop any investigation, any active mental investigation into the acts of the CIA that were true. That's what it says in the document. So they got you just using, oh, that's conspiracy theory. That's conspiracy theory. So you an agent. See how they made you an agent? Just with 2 words. They just made you an agent. All because you too stubborn to take somebody else's point of view into account. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't even talk to black people because they don't weaponize the information so much that if you try to be like, well, so improve that, they take it like a personal challenge, like a rap battle. They don't turn information into like rap battles. And we'll look at what it did to the conscious community. Look at what it did. Look at what they did to it. And the whole time while it was happening, like you said, Super Heavy Radio, that whole 7-year time, I'm the one blacklisted. Me and my queen, we're the ones blacklisted. We're the ones who we set up lectures. These niggas set up 5 different lectures the same day to diversify so nobody comes see mine. We're the ones low-key poison where we lost the baby fucking with these people, man. Drinking the water and stuff they selling. These is conscious community people right now out here selling y'all information, right? We was the ones out here on that. Go back and listen to that Super Heavy Radio. Everything that these niggas was doing, we was telling y'all while they was doing it. Because I went to the meeting. They had a meeting about it. And the head devil was like, yeah, this is how we going to do. This one going to be against this one. This one going to be that one. It's like, nah, man, I ain't with that. Yeah, they had a meeting. It was like, yeah, we're going to set it up so this way we bring more mainstream people into the community. Why would we want to do that? I'm not with that. Oh, but we got this dude. We want you to debate because he really going in on the Moors. Like only you could get him and all of that. Dude, don't stroke my ego, man. I ain't the only one out there to do that. And the way that you doing it, the way that you pumping this dude like that, he sound like an agent. Because you an agent. You know what I'm saying? Because you an agent. So if you tell him that
you getting paid to sit in your lip. Oh, I didn't say that. I didn't mean that. but
you know what I mean? You was paid already, and I know that about you. So now you coming here to ask me to go debate this dude who nobody ever heard of, and then then I'm like, no. But then you know what? Y'all niggas got money. I'm having a baby. Great. You want me to debate this dude? Give me $5,000 up front. He looked at me like, what? I say, y'all niggas made over almost $1 million. You understand that these people have made lectures that have made close to $1 million, if not over $1 million, just in the conscious community.
And we're no better for it. We're no better
for it. No. So I know this. So now I'm saying, look, so I know my worth. Great. You're going to sit me down on an agent? Well, I'm most likely put myself in jeopardy. You're going to pay me for that. And in the lecture, I'm going to let you know this nigga's an agent. Because that's what I did with Leonard Jeffries when they did another lecture called What Were You Before 1492? They buried that tape. You be hard pressed to find that. But on that tape, I'm sitting next to Leonard Jeffries, the good Dr. Leonard Jeffries, and this dude going in about the benefits of the boule. I'm looking at this thing like, what? So I'm hot. You know what I'm saying? I'm hot. And he and all of the African, you know how I used to wear the big African mabuba stuff and all of that, the robe and the floppy hat and all that shit. So he got all of that on. I'm looking at this dude like, if you look at the tape, my mouth was open. I was like, I'm shocked. So then they come to Aseer and they say, so Aseer, well, what do you think? Oh man. So I just stood up and I said, well, whatever he talking about, it's my elder, but look, the boule, and I just laid it down because I come from the Steve Coakley school on the boule, because that was the first person. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't even know about the 10th to 10th, the boule, end up nothing. We would know nothing.
That's true.
So all praises to him. And so by the time I finished, right, with the good doctor, I looked, he was gone. He wasn't even on the stage no more. He just left. When he came back, why was this dude in a t-shirt and jeans? He took the whole shit off, son. I was bugging like, yo, these dudes is wild. So then we go into the other room, and now I'm already feeling away because Africa Bambaataa is throwing this. So I'm already feeling away. Because my father told me about Bam when I was 10. You understand? When I was 10, we went to some Zulu Nation thing or whatever because he was doing publicity for Rocksteady Crew or one of them. And he was like, yeah, you see that guy? Stay away from him. Real talk, man.
So there's truth to the allegations, I guess.
Sis. So years later now, I get invited by him in person to be on the panel. So I put my feelings aside because at the time one of my man's homies was like being groomed to be like the new dude in it. And I was cool with him. He was a rapper. He was from my friend. So I said, well, I give it the benefit of the doubt. So I got on the panel. It was me and a couple of other people. And halfway through the panel, man, it was just apparent that this is, y'all just looking to see who the public is going to respond to. And that's who y'all targeting. Because the way that they was asking the questions, how I was positioned, it just was just really whack. So halfway through, I just got up and I had a rain stick. I used to walk with a rain stick at that time. People remember who was there. I used to wear all my feathers. I used to wear my locks out, and I used to have feathers all in them, like hawk feathers and stuff, crow feathers. So I got up and banged the thing on the ground, the rain stick on the ground, and just started breaking. Just broke full on. I was like, look, I don't know what this whole thing now, basically laid it out. And I said, so my problem also is this was the time where he was trying to create the Zulu Kemetic Moor thing, where he was trying to merge the Zulu thing with the Moorish thing. And I was not with that because I already know what was happening with the Zulu thing. You know what I'm saying? It's bad enough that the Moors got their own problems. We don't need them problems too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I wasn't with that shit. So, but there was a lot of Moors that were, because, you know, this is Bam, and you know what I'm saying? They fans. These niggas is idol worshiping fans. So I said, look, man, nobody know more about the situation than Bam. He don't open up embassy, Zulu nations all over the world. So if he want, he could just right now repurpose them joints as embassies, and we can get everybody nationality and everything, and we could run it all through there, instead of everybody trying to figure out where this money gonna come from or whatever. So I'm with it. I'm done with the talking. So I got my dollar, pulled my dollar out. I'm with it. Are you with it, Bam? And everybody pulled out dollars and rushed that nigga. He ran out He ran out the joint. Well, first he got pressed up because he didn't think it was gonna happen like that. So he was like up against the wall, like, oh. And then he had a break and was out. Then after that, never heard. Then I went to find the tape. Tape gone. Nobody want to see that. You understand? Because what's happening at that time was right before Obama came in, and they knew that they targeted the conscious community because we were the ones that basically got that nigga elected. We was doing the metaphysical work on that to get him up in there, just for anything, just to have a melanated face in there. But that whole time, that whole 7 years I was on Superhero Radio, I was letting everybody know what was happening. Blow for blow almost. They're about to do this. They're going to do this. Watch out for this. If the paperwork look like this, don't mess with it. But again, you know, I was blacklisted. People was more being pushed by the mainstream conscious community, pundit people, you know what I'm saying? And then these people started to use that notoriety to then sucker and bring all these people in. And you know what wound up happening? I wind up being the one that all these people wind up calling after to go and help them correct all the stuff that these dudes made them do. People losing their house, people going to jail, people being kidnapped, all because they sent this one and they try to put a lien on this judge or this or that. Like, stop following behind these people, man. Stop using colloquialisms and stuff that has nothing to do with us. A sovereign is really a piece of gold, really. It was really a brick of gold. And gold itself is even man-made. Let's talk about that. When you find a gold nugget and mine it out, it looked like a little rock. In order to make it look the luster gold, do you understand that they have to break that rock down and they have to mix it with other chemicals to make it gold? So gold itself is not even what you think it is. It's a man-made thing. You can make gold yourself. That's how ill it is right now. You can make it.
But right now, it's the prices of it is just, you know, ridiculous. I'm dealing with, you know, silver myself.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm doing the silver.
We told you, get gold, get silver, get it right.
And now it's like, as they say, it's a parabolic rise. It's like you need to get it now. You need to get it
behind the money again.
It's not that it's going up in value. It's that it's reflecting the lack of value of the fiat that is not worth. I understand it's not worth 2 cents.
No, it's done.
Yeah, it's done.
We
It's
have
life support.
Yeah, it's triage. They out of here with that. And then the thing is, like I said, under Obama administration, the reason why they had the surplus was because they linked the human trafficking adrenochrome with the Bitcoin, and that became the Bitcoin. That is what was backing the coin that they were using on the dark web to sell the children and adrenochrome and all of that. So when Trump came in and started shutting that down, that's why everything started going crazy for these people with the money. Why they had to start leaving their offices, jumping off of their jobs.
Yeah, all of these CEOs that
leave because they were being paid out of that fund, out of the black market fund, which is the dark web adrenochrome money. Look, do you know that the CPU for Google, you know what the name of the CPU for Google is?
No.
Adrena. You know what the username is?
No.
Chrome. Look it up. Y'all niggas need to get Google off your hard drive and all of that now. Go through DuckDuckGo. Get that shit off your computer, man.
DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, DuckDuckGo is better. And they don't follow your information. They don't store it. They don't sell it. Hook up your search engine and stuff through DuckDuckGo. Because Google, like I said, that is what you call it. That's Gates and all that. So yeah, the server for the Google CPU is called Adrena. It's named Adrena, and then the username I believe is Chrome. Because Bill Gates and all of them other dudes are part of another organization called Edge.org. And Edge.org has multinational people involved with this, and this is one of the biggest places where they do the organ eating and organ harvesting and all of that.
Are you bringing that? Do you have a screen that you want to share?
Wow, I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah, you can.
Oh wow. Nah, because I would have to go through my,
Okay.
I would just talk. It'll
I
be
can tell you
easier.
you can screen share.
Next time, I'll definitely do that.
Okay.
If I'd have known, I'd have had them on deck.
All right.
But you can look this stuff up. It's all out there. What else was I going to say? Yeah, so they want you to be more outraged that people will see this thing as a tranny than the fact that they're using it as the cufflink for the shirt tail of white supremacy to be able to clothe the entire world. And so because these things have no morality, they have no self-respect, they have no dignity, because no dignified woman, no dignified man of self-respect is going to take anybody that does that seriously. What we also have to understand is that this aspect of their culture comes from an ancient deviancy that was left over from the fall of Babylon. And that deviancy was regaled to a people they call the Areopagites. There's a video I got that I did that's on YouTube right now. I see the Duke of Tears. Go to YouTube and type in the Breakaway Society. And in that video, I go ham and cheese on this topic right here. But to give you the cliff notes, the Areopagites were a group of deviants who, after the fall of Babylon, did not want to go into the new paradigm in which they could no longer be about the demonic stuff that they was doing. These are the writers of the Talmud, okay? The Talmud and the Torah are the two books the Jews use. The Torah is the book they tell you that they're using, but the Talmud is what they following. The Torah, the Talmud, right? Talmud, Talmudia, same thing. Talmud, Lucifer, Satan, the devil. Torah, that's Hebrew, that's Old Testament. You see what I'm saying? That's bringing us back to stuff like the Emerald Tablets and stuff like that. So that's why Jews are not Hebrews. Jews have to be taught how to be Hebrews because Jews are really Khazarians from Europe. Leftover and descendants from those leftover ones, like I said, from who became Areopagites. So once they were kicked out Babylon, they got enslaved, right? They said that the ones from Judah got enslaved and they moved them up. So the ones that went up into what we now call Greece, they fell under the jurisdiction of the Moors that was there. At that time, these Moors were called Etruscans. And these Etruscan Moors was basically called, they were like, you know how you got like Puerto Rico, you got like Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, how they both Spanish, but one is a little different Spanish than other Spanish, but they both Spanish. That's how it was. So the Etruscans and the Carthaginians was like the Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. They both Spanish, they both Latin speakers, but one is a little bit more over there and one is a little bit more over here, right? So they banished the Areopagites because of the demonic natures and all that stuff and the fact they was crazy to, well, they weren't called Areopagites at that time. Let's just call them vagrants. So these vagrants that got kicked out wound up being shuttled up into what they call Peloponnesia today that we call Greece. At Greece, at Peloponnesia that we call Greece today was a mountain called Mount Areopagus. Mount Areopagus, right? And so this is where they banished these niggas at. And so anybody that got banished that for the extra crazy deviancy became branded as an Areopagite. You understand? So these Areopagites practice all forms of bestiality. They had sex with animals. They castrated themselves. They would put on plays where the men would dress like women, the women dressed like men. You know what I mean? They would kidnap children, have sex with the children, eat the children. Just the type of stuff they was doing. Okay, but every season they were allowed to come down from Mount Areopagus and put on a play. Basically, to get money, because they would have no other, to get supplies, basically. And so at this play, they would do that or whatever. But by the time Rome came around, the Romans was really entertained by these things. But they never looked at them as real people. Because under Roman law, only females or males could own property. So if you were Areopagite, i.e. trans, you can't own no property because you're not a man or a woman. Crazy and deviant as the Romans were. You understand? They, one, never legalized gay marriage because they knew that that was going to be the doorway to making all of the deviancy stuff that they was dealing with legal, and they was making too much money off of it on the black market for it to become legal. That's the problem with the weed market right now. See what I'm saying? You can't lock black people up in mass and then allow all these white people to get money off the weed and then leave the black people as in jail, weed still there.
Right.
So these Areopagites that were allowed under the Roman thing to come down, they could do their little shows and all that, but they could never own nothing, own no property, no nothing. And so these plays became known as pageants. See, Areopagite, Areopagite, pageant, pageantry. See what I'm saying?
Right.
And so these pageants became known, and then so then they became like jesters, and they would travel around different places, and people would put on shows and all of that for them, and they'd be like, "Oh, look at the castrato, the freak show, the carnival. This is where all this stuff came from these things."
Mm-hmm.
And then some Moors got wind of it and was like, "Yo, we can make money off these niggas," and then they started what became vaudeville centuries later. That was started by black people. And so that's why in vaudeville, there was nothing but white, poor people doing all the shows, painting their faces black and all of that. Because quiet as it's kept, there was no white people in power in America until after 1900. So half the niggas they telling you that was actually white was really so-called black or melanated. The nigga they showing you as Frederick Douglass is really Rutherford B. Hayes. Crazy, right? Crazy, right? I know, it's crazy.
So
right?
you know what? I question how, you know, the so-called Black Wall Street people could be as affluent as they were if they hadn't been that many years out of slavery, as the narrative goes. You know, when they dropped the bomb on, you know, in Tulsa, how could these people be that affluent if it had not gone on for many years to, you know, build up that wealth? And that you had the Europeans or the Caucasians who were jealous and just got sick and tired of seeing this affluence. And my assumption was that they came upon them as they were traveling going west, young man. Then they come upon these affluent melanated people in this community, and they find a way to get in, but they're the underdogs. And then they decide, you know, like, we're just gonna make up the story and just kill them all and take what they have.
Well, what happened was there was a major geographic disaster. What happened was, what they tell you was something called the War of 1812. I know you Moors heard about that. That's not true. There was no such thing as that. What happened was the New Madrid earthquake happened in 1812. Okay. And the New Madrid earthquake, Madrid at this time, there was no Madrid in Spain.
So it was over here like everything else.
Madrid is here. There was no, none of that. All of that stuff that's over there came after the 1900s. Okay. There's no, your grandmother, my great-great-grandmother is older than every African nation that exists today. You understand? They only maybe 80 years old. Some of them is even younger than that. You understand? Italy, the country of Italy itself, excuse me, Spain wasn't founded until 1978. Look it up. Man. Spain, yes, look it up. Greece too. All these places didn't exist until after World War II. And really, till like the late 50s to 70s. There was no Morocco over there until 1956. That means when the Prophet flew the Moroccan flag over here in 1913, this is where Morocco was at. That's why they say they adopted the flag in 1956. But that's a whole nother story. Because niggas, you know, these Negro Freemasons, they don't believe what the white masters tell them to do. But what I'm saying is that there was a major disaster called the New Madrid earthquake in 1812. So from 1812 to about the beginning of the so-called Civil War. Was it Civil War? Yeah, Civil War. You had the destabilization of all of the so-called melanated nations that were now trying to rebel against their European cousins that brought their white slaves over with them. The first European to become part of our nobility over here was Charles V, when he married into the Inca throne and became the first European Inca emperor of the House of Bourbon. How come we never heard about that? And he's darker than you. and he darker than you. There's pictures, all of that. You can go look at any one of my recent YouTube joints. I got pictures of him and all the rest of them. Anyway, by the start of the Civil War now is when the so-called blacks that's in the European so-called blacks that married into our families that now want to establish the United States as a separate country for themselves decide they're going to use their white slaves to come and fight the rest of us. And so we all get together as a confederacy and stop them. We did it before in the 13th century when Genghis Khan and them tried to come over here and invade, and we shut them down. And that's how we got the Native American Siberian people who act like they Indians. These niggas is out here worshiping the sky and worshiping the corn and all that. All them people that live, the homeless people that live in the tents. Those people only got here 13,000 years ago. And there's documented proof on that. Get the book, what is it called? The Conquest of Peru with the Invasion of Mexico, all the way up to Bogota, which is Colombia, Telemesca, which is Florida, and Natchez, which is Mississippi. This is how far it went up. So after we shut them down, we put them on reservations, and they became known as Indians, as the Los Indios, meaning those without God, because they were not Moors. They had no nationality. Okay. Then there was a subgroup that came out of them, right, called the Zambo. That would be me having a baby with like a real Inuit looking Mexican, one of them type of people. And then that baby come out dark skinned, but it looked like real Asian type. Those people were called Zambos. Okay. Just like in Asia, they were referred to as Tartars. You see what I'm saying? Same people. Anyway, just by version over here and how they amalgamate with us. And then those Zambos then had babies with white European slaves, and this is where we get the mestizos from, right? The mestizos like Mark Anthony, the singer, them type of people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then we get them. And then the white man say, okay, well, we're going to work with the mestizo and the people that came later to get rid of everybody else. And so our confederacy went to war against their so-called union. And that union, again, was backed by the so-called blacks from Europa that had always used the white boys as proxy, just like in the movie Django. Stephen looked like he worked for Carl Candy, but we went behind the scenes. Who was really running shit? Stephen. And Carl Candy, Nick DiCaprio, was the face, right? So Stephen didn't want to seem like he was the one brutalizing his people. So he brought the white man in. You see what I'm saying? To brutalize his own people for him so he could stay in power.
False flag too.
Yes. Yes, because black Masons and white Freemasons work together and they all a devil. And that agreement came together in the form of the union between Albert Pike and Thornton Jackson that took place around this time because Albert Pike was a slave under John Drew in the Tuskegee Cherokee Regiment of North Carolina. Look it up. Get the book, Confederate Cherokee, John Drew's Regiment, and it'll tell you all about Albert Dyke, the Luciferian homosexual that established the KKK, that then established the Knights of Pythias, that then established the Knights of the Golden Circle, which then established the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So that's it. So this is why they don't like Moors, because we know what really happened, and we know that all y'all dudes is capping for the enemy, and all of y'all are collaborators. And it's okay, because we're at the time now where 2020 vision is apparent. You can't hide no more. You can't put it out there if you're not really like this. Nick Cannon, you're going to get shut down. Nick Cannon, perfect example of what I talk about, false pride. Again, somebody who was talented, successful, but came up in the industry, so you know he compromised, right? But he always still wanted to be a real G. And then all the other compromised niggas treated him like crap, made fun of him, right? So then, boom, he blows up. I'm talking about all the other successful people that's around him now. Jay-Z, all these dudes, he would try to hang out with them, and they'd be like, word, meet us outside. And they would bounce on him. You know what I mean? Like, he was that type of dude because he was corny to them. Mm-hmm. Then he marries Mariah Carey, right? Then now he got the hottest chick in the game wearing his chain. Now they all come back around him, right? But he know that they phony. So somebody give this nigga a book and then he low-key starts sending him Bobby lectures. And then the next thing you know, he start wearing turbans. Now people looking at him in a whole different light now. They trying to be like, yo, he trying to kick knowledge. Like, this dude might be something. And then he always wearing it. So now it look like he's standing for something. See what I'm saying? He's standing for something. He about it. Now the Moors, just like when they seen the dude wearing the fez in the Beyonce video, they want to act like Beyonce got the damn fez on, and she's not. But what she do is create imagery that has your information in it. And then because she don't claim none of it, she let y'all do it for her because she don't believe in none of that. Because if she did, she would claim her nationality and stop perpetrating the fraud by calling herself Bae the way that she do. Because that's disrespectful. I don't go around here calling myself Christ, do I? No. So you're disrespecting us. And ain't no Moors checking her. What I see is Moors on Facebook capping, trying to throw all kind of kites to her to hopefully be down. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem.
Yeah.
So in all of that, they created a false flag in that whole mind state of the people to perpetuate this idea that we need a cosign to get on. And so Nick, now, he done locked himself into it now. So now he can't not wear the turban. Because now if he don't, you see what I'm saying? Now he look like he done buckled the shit. So he got to find a way out because now people pressing him more and more now. Charlemagne the God. So you a Moor? Then he dance around that. Then every so often niggas is hitting him up. He can't answer none of that. He can't stand by it. So what did he do? He got to find a way out. How do we get out? We say something crazy, get Griff on to get right? Because it's the same Jew who said that black people was monkeys. This is the same Jew that said that. Okay, he said black people monkeys and they need to be ruled. This same Jew now, Nick Cannon come out, say the truth about the Jews, and then immediately doubles down. So much so that now he's trying to give them money out of his own salary. You know what that tells me? That tells me that they threatened his life and that they now got him under heavy restriction. And he out there and alone because he know none of them niggas gonna help him. He don't got no protection with them because none of them niggas got no power. Kanye got no power. Jay-Z got no power. None of these niggas got no power. They got power to do shit to black people. You see what I'm saying? But that ain't no power.
And you know, I know they know because Grand Sheikh Taj Bey has I don't know whether it's a chain or something, a silver the chain that was sent to him by Mariah's people. Mariah sent it through her people to him. And then when they had their twins, they named them Maraca
and Monroe. Yeah.
So you know they know.
Yeah, but then look at the kids. I don't even think those is Nick Cannon's kids. They don't have no melanin, no nothing. And what them babies had glasses on from before they could walk. What kind of babies have shit like that? I ain't never seen that. But again, I'm not trying to disparage his children. I'm just saying that he himself is a pawn. He himself is an agent. And no matter what me and you want to see for him, he did not believe in himself enough to stand on what he know. So as far as I'm concerned, he with them people, right? Because that's what's supposed to happen.
Now he acquiesced, and you know it was sad to see him groveling and apologizing, and you know, and then of course Charlemagne the God.
Don't let me see him. Don't let me see him.
I'm not releasing him. I'm just saying that here he goes.
I'm telling you, don't let me see Nick Cannon.
Oh, okay. Because
don't let me see him.
When Charlemagne said what he said, then he went under fire by the same. You know, I'm like, who's controlling who?
Charlemagne is an open homosexual though. They're all part of they're all protected by the gay mafia. Charlemagne protected by the gay mafia. And I told you that's Geffen and all of them. The gay mafia is the so-called rulers of the hip-hop community. That's why they all got to go through the gay ritual. And they don't really got to do it. They just feel they have just made to believe they have to do it. And so they do it. And then once they do it, they're locked in and they can never get out of it. So that's why they can never really come out and say anything. And that's why they'll do everything to make us look crazy, because they're trapped in the game too. They're trapped. He can't get out.
They want to get out. A lot of them want to get out soon.
If they really wanted to get out, your show exists. I've been out here for over 20 years. There's other Moors out there, and they see that they can holler at, and especially now the way they be doing versus battles and shit, you could just email these dudes now. So if they really want it, they would do like Jaheim did me. Jaheim hollered me out. Big up to Jaheim. Shouted me out on Twitter. Just like B.O.B. when he was flirting coming into the conscious community.
Where is he now? Because I know
Exactly.
B.O.B.
He now. Exactly.
Yeah, he just kind of, he faded. Like, did they get to him or something?
Exactly. See? Messing with these niggas in the so-called community, right?
Wow.
He was around at the time. Because see, what happened with me was he hit me up. What happened was he said that shit about the dinosaurs. He's like, well, how come everybody can show me this, and that, but I ain't never seen no. You show me dinosaur bone from 25 million years ago, but you can't show me a slave ship from 10 years, from 100 years ago. I said that. He repeated that in an interview or whatever, and it got hot for him. Know what I'm saying? It got hot.
No more B.O.B.
Right, B.O.B. It got hot for him. And then that's when he, to deflect that, gave me a shout out in the tweet. Right? So then after that, I tried to holler at him. We can never link it up. Next thing I know, he would panic. He doing, you know what I mean? He in the lecture community. I'm like, okay. So then we were supposed to do another lecture. And next thing I know, he doing lectures now. So I'm like, okay. So maybe that's what that was. That was a low-key soft walk to get me to co-sign so he could come into the joint. But I couldn't do it because we never followed up with each other.
Right.
Another way in, right? But where has he done any lectures with them niggas since? No, because he probably found out the same shit. And I'm telling you that the whole game was run by compromised Freemasons. And they all work together. They do. And unfortunately, niggas been flashing signs for 350 years, and all it's done is put us further in bondage. So as far as I'm concerned, if you are one of those things, then that means that you are down with them. That means that you are brothers with Joe Biden. You a Freemason, Black Freemason, you brothers with Joe Biden. You brothers with Trump. You brothers with the police that shoot these people in the face. You brothers with Tara Lightfoot and Kamala Harris and Jussie Smollett and all the rest of these sellouts. You brothers, that's your brothers. Because if they come to you, flash you a hailing sign, you got to look out for them before you look out for your own mother.
That's sad.
You got to help them before you help anybody else. So as far as I'm concerned, they all agents. So when I see Moors out here and they be on their duplicitous fence and shit, acting like you'll see Moors and they'll have a joint. And again, I ain't trying to diss nobody. So don't make no videos about me. That's another thing. If anybody got any problems or anything I'm saying, my email is houseofl@hotmail.com. Don't do no whole shit and make no video and all of that when I'm out here and accessible where we can discuss whatever issue you got. Because this month, that's all I've been doing is going back, hitting these people who I told in the past, hey, you got my number. We could talk, whatever. But y'all capping, y'all want to get clout and whatever. So just don't do that. Holler at me directly. But long story short, I think that he found out what was happening with that. And then he had to step back. Because again, man, he just came from the devil. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with the music industry and shit. Then you come into the conscious community. You think you coming into more content? No, you coming into you going from the frying pan into the fire.
That's right.
Worse. Because they worse. Because they steal from you and then give you a hotep pool or Islam brother or that's right sister while they low-key molesting your parents and stuff, going to the orgy and the rituals and stuff. That's what's going on in the conscious community, which is one of the reasons why me and the Queen bounced. And then when we did that, they trying to make up rumors, trying to say, oh, well, y'all bounced because he was selling cocaine and like crazy shit, making shit up, right? Then the next thing I know, all of them start turning on each other, like I told them they was going to do. They all turned on each other. Then they turned on each other. What did that do? That it broke the will and it broke the sincerity of a lot of real people that just came across this information and felt freed by it. And now they want to engage in it. And now they see a bunch of niggas doing the same shit that they were doing when they was in the church.
And
I don't blame people for not wanting to be Moors and not wanting to be conscious and all that. I don't blame you. I understand. If you in this movement for more than 2 years, you a vet. You a vet because you done seen it all. I done seen it all. That guy, Alain Moore, that started that whole Mac thing, he came out here to recruit me for that garbage. He drove out here to recruit me for that garbage. And me and the sheiks are sitting there looking at this dude like, where's your fez at? You know what I'm saying? Then it went down. And again, nice guy. You know what I'm saying? Congenial, nice, nothing bad to say about him personally. But upon the research, after the homie bounced, then we take a picture. Next thing I know, Moore's from Canada hit me up. Yo, you down with this dude? I'm like, what dude? This dude done put the picture up with a whole story about how we endorsed him and how I'm down with it and all of that. That's not true. So again, this is what I mean. So agents. So then I start researching the nigga. I'm seeing this nigga on Air Force One. I'm seeing him in the bubble, in the drop bubble Lambo, yellow banana Lambo with the blonde hair Becky in the seat. You know what I'm saying? I'm seeing him on Air Force One and stuff. I'm like, yo, this dude is really, they just blatant with it now.
Well, you know, he's been to my home on more than one occasion. He had his first meeting from my house, from my domicile right here.
Wow.
And,
she was just, but see, you can't look at it like the sis. He was just coming into consciousness too.
It was back about what, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And, but it, you know, and so for everything I saw sincerity. I've talked to him even since to try to like really what's going on, what's up with all this stuff coming up. And you know, his thing was, you know, everybody has a past. I was a photographer. No, I was a security. I happened to open the door for, it was a Bush. And when I opened the door, they took a picture of me.
Yeah, but that's how you made it look like your Facebook page.
I just tell you what he told me.
I know. Yeah, like I feel it.
I called him up. I needed to know because you've been in my home on more than one occasion. You helped Red Sheik tear out baseboards and you sat here.
What you need to do, sis, if you have it, get you a bug detector and run through your crib and make sure these niggas ain't leaving no bugs in your house. I'm serious. You think I'm playing? I did it and I've done it and I found them.
Really?
At the time when I found one, we was living like in a basement. Like, how did these niggas get in here? You know what I'm saying? So that's what they sent to do. So again, I'm not trying to even diss the brother because, like I said, I don't got nothing bad to say about him because he never did nothing to me. All I know is all of the
that you didn't endorse. You didn't endorse. You met with it, but you didn't endorse it. So to give that, that was assumption that was not. That's
what they do with people like me. What I am, and I tell people like this all the time in the cons community, I'm the uncle. I'm like the drunk uncle in the community nobody wants you to talk to because you know, in the family nobody wants to talk to because you know all the family business before you.
He gonna spill it,
and I'm gonna tell it. So they don't like that, and I didn't like the fact that he used my image or used me like that. But he ain't the only one. Other Moors have done that with me before. I've had people set up lectures in my name. And then when I don't show up, they put it on and act like, oh, well, I'm gonna just do it because the brother couldn't show up.
But you were never even contracted to come.
I didn't even knew this dude. That's what I'm saying. And then what happens? Because I'm a real one. So what happens is I get the Moors together and we gotta go find this dude. I gotta go find him and speak to this person in person because that's the type of person I am. Forget all the affairs and the knowledge. All of that is good and well, but common sense, obedience is better than sacrifice. So if you know that you can contact me directly and you got a grievance and you decide to instead make a tape or do some other, you know, underhanded thing, now me personally, I don't see you as a man. I don't see you as an upright being. I'm looking at you now the way my ancestors would look at you, as somebody that don't exist no more. You know what I'm saying? So when the more I read and understand history and stuff now, the more I know if our ancestors was to come back and see us in the state we in now, they would kill us first. You understand? You understand that we have rebelled for less than half the things that have happened to us. But the reason why we won't rebel is because one, instinctively we know this is our own land. It is our home. We are not from nowhere else. that when this whole world landmass was together as Pan-Asia, or what they call Pangea, and it was Asia, that we could walk from one side to the other, but there was something about this side that after the great cataclysm, it's because this landmass was the first one to rise out of the water. So this was the first landmass after the great cataclysm, and became the beacon for every other landmass that would rise after that. That's why we were given dominion over everything. And so because we have the jurisdiction, right, over all of reality, over all of creation, we had to be learned and be made to forget that. And that's what has basically happened. We're in a situation now where we have totally forgotten, and it's like a lot of us don't even want to remember. So stage, like I said, I just brought the thing up with Homeboy to talk about, like I was saying, the false pride, the false hubris thing. That's the thing. You got to stop looking at people as if, stop looking at people like food. Stop looking at females as just sex objects. Stop looking at males as baby makers or wallets. Stop thinking like a goddamn Roman, because that's what y'all are. Y'all all think like Romans. The Roman way is mob rule. Roman way is democracy, right? The Carthaginian way, the Carthagid way is republicanism, empire, kingdom. You know what I'm saying? That's where we come from. So when we get to the brass taxes of it, we can't be deported nowhere because we always been here. And now that these crackers is coming out here saying that they this, and that, right? Trump is talking about how he going to deport them back to India. But guess what? He might be able to do it because he know what I know, which means this nigga probably done watched the Breakaway Society. He done probably watched the Barbarians, Tartarians, and he know that he got the proof to know that these niggas not even here. Because he done watched the Aseer and Celina DVD, and he know. Because he the first one who said, well, they don't look like any Indians that I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is everybody hate the dude, right? But everybody loved the dude, but everybody hated the dude when he got in. Because you know why? Because they knew when he got in that it was over. Because he was the one, he was like the Nick Cannon. He was the one that everybody kind of liked, but talked shit about behind their back. You know, he was the one that didn't get invited to the real orgies. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got to the front door or whatever, and they'd always kind of play him out and stuff like that because he never really participated all the way. Right. And even the little rape and all that stuff that he did do, right, that they allegedly got him for, that he settled them cases for, whatever. Like I said, I feel like that's the dirt that he needed to get in there. So again, he's not my president, so I don't care what he does, really. However, as trustee for my empire, I'm concerned in how he's and I commend him on his role in getting rid of the mess that this dude Barry Soetoro left y'all Negroes.
That's right.
All Barry Soetoro did was
AKA
way the BLM could rule y'all niggas now. And he killed Gaddafi. And he paid for the Blue Act. And he paved the way for all of them children that you saw in the cages in Mexico. That was under the Obama administration, buddy.
And that's one of the reasons why Trump was trying to put the border up, was all of the illegal smuggling of children and so forth. I mean, they don't realize that. But listen, we are at 2 hours and 34 minutes. I know you can. I don't know if you want to stop or go or whatever. I don't know whether you want to go.
Wind it down because we've been going in for a while. I know the people tired.
Right. I'm sure they're not tired, but you know, we're gonna. I appreciate I really greatly appreciate you taking the time out to be on the show today, and not only today. And I'm excited about next week.
Selena gonna bomb it. Selena gonna bring it home next level. She, you know, and I'm like I said, y'all look. Anybody in the meantime, I'm putting this up here. This is this is some stuff. If you having some problems, look, I'm doing a promotion. If you have some problems with your hair, like flaking, thin, won't grow, dandruff, or whatever, you need to get this Rosemary's Baby hair growth serum, which Empress Selina
has formulated and sells on her
Website.
her website, which is Cordova Organics. I mean, when I tell you, I use the Pisces bubble bath, and I use the apple cider vinegar. I don't know what it is. The shampoo. It's conditioner and shampoo. Just had my hair washed yesterday. My locks washed and twisted. And when I tell you, my hair is thickening and growing, and a whole month, no flakes. I used to have flakes in a week. I used to cannot wear something dark because when I look down, it looked like it snowed all over my shoulders.
We all been there because of what we was using and how we was lack of taking care of ourselves. Because nobody ever, they never encourage you as an original woman to take care of your hair properly.
That's
Nobody
right.
has. Our black sisters have been tortured with their hair since they passed the Tignon law. Tignon, the Tignon law. That's the law that they passed because when the French and these French that were fighting against the Haitians, these is black people. These is not white people fighting white people. These is black people from Europe with their white and mulatto slaves fighting original indigenous people that was already there. And they both happen to be speaking, one speaking Creole, one speaking French. And so these guys got together, got into an issue, a fight or whatever, and they decided that they were going to be different. And so they wanted to have their own land and their own thing. And they wanted in order to have control of the land, they had to marry into the families. So they had to make the indigenous men want the foreign European so-called black women more than their indigenous ones. So the way they did that was they made a law that said once the French Duke or the Dauphin married into the family of Anna Maria, he being the man, now her lands fall under his jurisdiction because he's the man. But again, he's from Europe. So now those free lands fall under European jurisdiction because of her European husband. You understand? And then once they passed, they got them, he said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that way all of our French dudes can get their own wives that's born here so we can get more access to the land. So what we got to do is we got to make their women seem less attractive. So we're going to make laws to force them to cover their hair up. And this is when the Tignon law came. And so what made you knew the difference between the European sister and the sister that was born on the land, because the sister born on the land usually had her head wrapped. But this is the first time this became a law. This had nothing to do with their custom. This was now the law that the French Moors imposed on these indigenous ones. And then the European women could walk around with their hair out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like today.
Right.
Just like today. So again, but you don't know history, you doomed to repeat it, and you will repeat it. And so that's what I'm saying, brothers and sisters. This is the best time for you to get your situation in order. Get your house in order. Establish your estate. Establish your trust. Get your house in order. Get your nationality right. Be able to become your own private banker. So that way you can establish your own funding system. So that way you're not dependent on these people. Fire these people as belligerent trustees and then reassign them as first and secondary trustees to the estate. So that way now they have to function as fiduciaries and not perpetual trustees over your estate. Because you've made the delineation between yourself and fiction. But if you listen into these YouTube people, if you listen into these, right now in the Moorish movement, just like there's been for years, there's all this fake divisiveness, and it's all based on ego. It's all based on Freemasonry and the fact that these Moors want to be able to be everything. They want to be able to be Moors. They want to be grand masters. They want to be grand sovereign commanders, right? They want to be able to wear the fez, the turban, the apron, the scepter, the crown. You understand? The Levi plate. They want it all. They want to be the ultimate Aboriginal, Autochthon, free, Moorish, Hebrew, Kemite, Nuwapian, Sabaean, RBG. They want it all. But when you are a jack of all trades, you know what that means? You are master of none. Master one thing. What did DMX say in Belly? You want to get money? Learn to put the weed in the bag first, then get the money. Right? Right? Put it in the bag first, then get the money. No, these Negroes want to be all at once. So again, if you see these guys out here lying on me, let me know, man. Let these people look. If you don't see, this is why you don't see me on TV with nobody but Celina, really. Because most of these people, the minute you do something cool with them, 2 days later, you know, found out, oh, he's a wife beater, or he got a criminal record for molestation, or he this, and that. Because in the end, let me tell you, brothers and sisters, you don't know nobody just because you friends with them on Facebook. You don't know these people just because you seen them on YouTube like that. You don't know these people because you know their Twitter handle and you follow them on Twitter. You don't know these niggas because you seen them on Instagram. You don't know them. Matter of fact, you don't even know what you look like. Do you understand that neither one of us, any of us, know what we really, really look like? You don't really realize that until you're gone. You know why? Because you are different. You look different to every person that you've ever come in contact with. If you're walking down the street and somebody is walking past you, they have a different perception of you than the person that's behind you. So when they see you from the front, you see what I'm saying? That's different than the person behind you that only see you from the back. So if the person ever seen you from the back, he has to create a composite of what you look like in the front. You understand? This is why descriptions, when the pigs say you match the description, that shit is a lie. No such thing as an accurate description, because you cannot describe somebody accurately. You understand? Because what you may see as a definitive mark on the person may not even be real on the person. That might be a fake mole. You might have raped this person and ran. Oh, he got a mole on his right cheek. This nigga just rolled it off. That ain't me. I ain't got no moles, right?
Right now, might be one of those masks. Whole,
right? And you got a whole body mask now. Where you whole black man do a crime, right, and run in. How come they don't got full Asian body masks? How come they don't have full white man body masks? How come they don't have full Mexican body masks? Why do they only have melanin
targeted us
body mask? Because we are the threat. Because the world belongs to us, nobody else. And I'm not saying that to exclude anyone. I'm saying it because based on the world's karma, based on the karma of the past 244 years, we are owed everything. We the only people that ain't waged war on nobody. We the only people that ain't genocide nobody. We the only people that ain't invade nobody. We the only people that ain't trying to convert nobody to our religion. We the only people in the world that ain't do that. So that means everybody else in the world that did that, the only time we did that is when we civilized the devil. And if we didn't do that, y'all would be in the caves and everything right now with these people. So it's a good thing we put the world into the quarantine during the dark ages. And mind you, an age is 2,160 years. So if you say dark ages, it can't just be 300 years. We're talking about thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. But because you Negroes read books written by white supremacists that fudge the books, because you don't know about the Intersissimus of 1581, in which the Catholic Church said that anything that happened prior to 1581 did not happen. This is why Christians believe everything that happened in the world happened in the last 6,000 years. Because there's a message and there's an answer to all of these things. But to get it, you got to get free of the ego. I'm not saying totally relinquish it, because the ego is what keep you alive. What I'm saying is get rid of the part that you don't need. Eat the meat, spit out the bones. Your ego is there to protect you in times that you need to assert yourself. But in times that you don't need to assert yourself, let it ride, man. Practice listening more than talking to people. Practice active listening. Practice finding the power in indifference. Practice not giving a damn. Instead of dying for the revolution, think about how to live for it, right?
It's true.
When you think about something and you want it to manifest, don't think about the opposite, which is it not manifesting. If you want to research something to find the truth of it, research it from the perspective that what you're researching is not true. When I first started researching more science and Moors and whatever, instead of doing what everybody do, which is getting a bunch of books on Moors and saying, oh, see, this is why Moors is this is why Moors is this. No, I did the opposite. I created a flow chart that said Moors are not black. And then what I had to do was find a bunch of documentation to prove that. What happened was I couldn't find any information on that. So I had to restructure the research topic. So it went from Moors are not black to are blacks Moors? Then that led me on a whole nother thing, right? And what I found out was yes and no. Yes, all quote unquote melanated, for lack of a better word, black people, right, are Moors, but not all Moors are black. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Then it went to, okay, if that's the case, then are Moors black? And what came back was a resounding no. What came back was no. Then it was, well, if Moors aren't black, what are they? Then this is when the whole white definition came to me as an epiphany. And when I read that, it said, oh, white means anybody who descends from the original peoples of North Africa. Well, where's North Africa? Anything north or west of Africa. Where's that? Here. Right? So then boom, it was like a shot. Like, oh, they talking about us. Oh, so when they mean white, it's really this. So if that's the case, if we're WH type, WHITE white, how are they white people? So then I did the knowledge that at the time that the Moors was running stuff over here, one of the clans that had the most sway was called the Alawites, or the Alawite dynasty. And they used to call them whites, right? Because they was dressed with the white turbans and all of that or whatever. And this is who the white Freemasons would have to pay tribute to. Then I did the knowledge and found out that, oh, there's another white, WIGHT, which means a creature, somebody on perpetual punishment, a phantasm, someone who is of low and sullen character. Then I said, oh, so they just flipped it. They just took the WHIT white, which meant the Alawite, the Moors, and just flipped it and then gave us the opposite definition. So me being the first person to bring that to the conscious community, just like in that time when you hear in the conscious community, when they talked about you need to get the Black's Law Dictionary with the 4th edition, that came from me. But these are all unseen things that I was first spoken about when I first came into the game. But because I'm not one of the gorillas that would bang his chest and say, hey, everybody look at me, when the blacklist stuff happened, instead, I just decided to culminate. But I ever said if I ever got to a point where people started to really realize what was happening, I would let them know. And I'm glad you have a show that I can do that. Because when you check it back in the community, you're going to find that. And so when I started to implement that, and I started to see other people implementing that, meaning the same people that I was asking this information from, and they couldn't give me no right answer, but just couldn't tell me that they didn't know. Then I said, well, you know what I'm going to do? my mission is going to be to inundate the game with so much real Moorish information, Moorish-based information on custom, history, culture, customary law, and everything, that even people I don't like, I'm going to hear what I'm talking about come out of their mouth. That's when I know I've made it. Here we are. And it's happening. And it's happening. Like I told you, I had to go at 3-4 people this week. Soon as that Lion Gate opened, it was crazy with the Zodiac, the Lion Gate opening with the 4 corners and stuff and everything being in Saturn. Shit opened up. These dudes, people sending me images from these people. And so again, hollering at these people, going seeing these people personally and all of that, telling them, look, we could do whatever. But in the interim, I told you, if you have a problem with me, you can holler at me directly. I'm not unapproachable. I am not ego driven. As much as you may think so, because I'm an Aries, because niggas will put that on me, I'm not on it like that. I'm just not the type of person that's going to co-sign anything outside of what I feel is correct, right, and exact, as much as I can be. And I can't say that for nobody else. I can't control nobody else. I ain't nobody's leader. I'm not asking y'all to follow me. I'm not asking y'all for y'all personal information to set up a whole different account, take y'all money. Or I'm not asking y'all for nothing that I don't produce myself. You understand? So if I'm helping you do something, I'm not going to charge you for paperwork or anything like that. But if I'm devoting my energy to you for over 6 months straight, because I'm the only one in the Moorish community that do that for people. Well, I literally walk you through the process for the 6 months. And it took me 10 years to figure out what it was, to get it to this point where I'm just getting people, helping people get their passports and stuff properly with no problems. Because I went about it the way that the elders told me to go about it. If you want to do anything in this world, you got to have a third party to do all your business through. Because if you don't, you're an individual and you're going to fall under that. So the third party that you're born with is your estate, your trust, your name. And if you don't take control of that and put that into its proper context, they're going to use it against you, charge you liability for it, kill you, and take the insurance off of it. So again, it's not just your nationality. And the thing is, the temples took all of this out of the temples after 1938. Because they got, after 1928, because when the prophet died, right before he died, he said that all the temples had to be shut down because they was all infiltrated. I got the FBI report. I didn't read it on tape. And then they say when they opened up the temple, when the FBI informant, when you read it, and they said they opened up the temples again, he became the internet, he became the national leader, the grand national moderator for the whole nation. And then they said, well, where did the 38,000 members that was in the shit before you, where'd they go? Oh, I don't have no records of them. So how are you the head of the international organization of the movement? And there were 38,000 people in the movement the day before, and the day you come in, they all gone. Nobody know where they at. That's why they reorganized the temple, made it an incorporated society, moved it to Washington, right? I told you that Charles Bay and them sold the rights to Temple 7 and Temple 8 or whatever in Ohio to Rockefeller so he could set off the Standard Oil Railroad thing. The dirty Moors were selling people out left and right. Aaron Payne E.L, who was the prophet's lawyer, attorney, he made sure that they listed the prophet as a Negro on his death certificate, to the point when the Moors went to go kill him, which was in their right to do under Muslim customary law. His whole crib was surrounded by the police. Just like when they went to go to get the fake George Floyd killer dude, the police was protecting the house, right? See, if the people was real, they'd have went at it with the police. But the people, see what I'm saying? The people are still on a level where they scared. They don't have no control. They still think that the police is God. Once you remove, you know who proved that the police ain't God? You know who proved that the police ain't God? Larry Davis. Big up to Larry Davis. Anybody that don't know who Larry Davis is, anybody grew up in New York in the 80s, you know. Larry Davis was a dude who tried to get out the drug game, and the police wouldn't let him out. They forced him to sell drugs for them. And then when they came, and then what he started to do was take the money and started giving the money to people in the hood, not to buy drugs, but to get property. And then when the police found what he was doing with the money, they came to the house and tried to kill him. You know what he did? He killed them. He killed a whole heap of them. And you know what? He's still alive. Then he went to jail, a national hero, right? For us. And then what? Got his nationality right. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the one that lets you know that police is not invincible. And again, I'm not advocating y'all to go out there and start popping pigs. What I am saying is the time is coming where the rubber is going to meet the road. And those that are in that agency, in those agencies, you're going to have to come to the understanding that you are part of an organization that is only there to murder indigenous people and take their organs and harvest them. That's it.
Yes.
So I want to thank you, sis, for having me on.
I want to thank you for taking almost 3 hours of your time. Well, we were on before we were on, so taking 3 hours of your time, and really giving the listeners, we weren't sure exactly what we were going to talk about, but I love the organic flow of this, allowing it to flow, the way it came, and this is what was supposed to be said. Again, I appreciate you, and I appreciate Empress, and again, like I said, I love my Rosemary's Baby.
Thank you so much.
Herbal, hair growth serum and my shampoo and all that, and I'm pushing it because, like I said, if you brothers or sisters, if you have issues with hair, somebody said something about edges. This is going to bring your edges, your top, your back.
That should grow hair. My father was going.
Tell us, what'd you say?
Yeah, my father was going bald, and he started using it, and within like maybe 3 weeks, almost a month, he started getting all types of follicles where it was like that was it. He didn't wash his hair with nothing else after that. Bless the day. And like I said, the sister has been doing it for a long time. What's up, buddy? My sister's been doing it for a long time, and she again is using these ancient recipes, man, that again our ancestors was using in Cordoba, literally. Because what people don't know about sis is that she is actually a direct descendant of Rakim I, who was the one who built the first library in Cordoba, in Spain. She a direct descendant. You know what I'm saying? So after 1492, you know, a lot of us went to different places. So some of us wind up in places like Granada, which they now call Grenada. See what I'm saying? Some of us wound up Bahamas, Panama, and all of that, because all of that was part of the empire. So when it got hot over there, we just came back home. And what happened was our European cousins and them followed us, brought their white slaves with them. And then when they made enough money or whatever, they decided they was going to move to the Caribbean or whatever, and left their white slaves to run the store. And while their white slaves running the store, that's when they basically just disinherited everybody. And then ever since then, we've all been destitute. So the same thing happened in Africa. There was no white people in any power anywhere. The whole colonial period that we think happened in Africa was actually dealing with original people colonizing original people. So when they tell you that the Moors under Leopold went in there and they had feathers on, was burning and killing people and cutting people up, that ain't true, because all them people over there in eastern portion of Africa were actually Swahili speakers. They were Eastern Africans. Half of them was Ethiopians. Because what we also don't understand is that Rome was founded by Ethiopia. Christianity was founded by Ethiopia, and the Ethiopians that founded it weren't even from Ethiopia. They actually got kicked out by the Mauryan dynasty, the Meru dynasty, out of India, because they was doing all of the sex rituals with the cows, and they wound up coming into the eastern portion, the eastern horn of Africa, and then they invaded what they call what we today call Abyssinia. Well, they call Ethiopia, what we call Abyssinia or Nubia. And when they invaded, they wind up moving the original capital that was run by the Turkana. There's a whole tribe of Ethiopians called Turks, you know, if people didn't know. There's the Turkana people. They kicked them out and got rid of all of those Muslims and took it over. And they moved the capital from Liabella to Axum. And then they set up Axum. And then that became the basis of Christianity up until the time of Solomon. And then they merged Solomon, the Solomonic dynasty, back in with them through what they call the queens of Sabia. And those Sabia queens then went up into what we call Italy, and then established the first university up there, Ethiopia, to basically educate the people who will become the Romans. And then the Romans, the first Romulus and Remus in them, raped the Sabaean women, and then gave birth to the first so-called official Romans, who then adopted the Latin-speaking term and then used their position as basically ancient Ethiopians to then establish a satellite kingdom in Italy. That's why they call Italians guineas. Understand? Because the person we call Selassie was actually Victor I. He actually was the king of Italy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. There's so much about it.
You need to do a book. You have done so much research, and that's part of your background as a researcher. I don't know if you've thought about it or if you're in the midst. I know you've done a comic book and you've got art, but you might want to consider doing I think a book, it'd probably be a very large volume.
Yeah,
But
encyclopedia type thing.
yeah, one of those things, because I'm pretty sure that everybody would purchase it. But listen, I'm gonna let you go because your background looks like it wants to wrap around you.
Breaking. My son came and started messing with the back, so you already know.
Yeah, I think your background was like, okay.
You know me, I'm falling in on him.
Like,
that's my son, man. Big up to him. He just turned 12. Big up to my daughter. Big up to my eldest son.
Let me get you that green screen so you can.
I'm still a work in progress. Trust. I said, man, a lot of good stuff coming. And again, I appreciate the platform that you've set up for everybody, and the fact that, again, man, you've taken what you could have just rested on your laurels and have put in work in. So as somebody who needs to see and still respects the elder energy in our community, respect to you, sis. Honest to you, Mobitis. Thank you. And thank you to everybody in the chat, man. Anybody that's ever supported me, bought a DVD, sent me a kind word, defended me from these whack dudes or whatever, man. I give you honors and respect. Couldn't do it without you. And again, anybody want to holler at me, hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com. Definitely check me out. You can go to www.aseertheducateers.com, or you can go to www.gumroad.com.
There we go.
And Aseer the Ducateers in the search, and all my class stuff come up. Check out YouTube. Just go to YouTube, Aseer the Ducateers. And again, man, long live the empire, long live the Moors. All praises due to the ancestors and all of the fighters that we've lost that are put in this work. And again, honest to you, sis. Honest to the sheikesses and the sisters and the Moabitesses and the goddesses in our community that know better and is actually doing better and is not being duped by this fake hot girl culture thing that is basically destroying humanity. So again, I don't care what a person's sexuality or gender is. The minute you militarize that and try to make me have to commit or submit to that, we going to war. So just know.
Peace.
Islam.
Islam.
Peace.
Islam. Peace. Dr. G. Really? Who's she? Yeah, that's me. 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 Dr. G. Really? Oh shit. Yeah, that's me. Really? Oh shit. Yeah, that's me.